All right, and welcome back to the Michigan Law Show. My name is David Helm. I am a practicing licensed attorney in the state of Michigan. And with me right now is Chandler Remington, if you
Hi,
want to introduce
everybody.
yourself.
Nice to meet you all. I'm Chandler Remington. I'm a paralegal from Los Angeles, California. My background is in entertainment law, and I'm currently taking the LSAT and studying to become a lawyer. So I'm looking forward to that.
Seeking truth and wisdom, I was drunk.
I'm not there yet. I have a pretty high tolerance for alcohol, so
I don't drink. I don't drink at all. So those few shots.
I didn't drink. I didn't drink
Dude.
until very recently. I took a couple years off because I had really extreme chronic migraines, and then it's Jamie. Hi, Jamie. And then I started drinking, and I realized life was a whole lot better with alcohol. Story ended.
I don't drink at all, but I thought Brandon's been a good friend to the show, so I would indulge him a little bit.
100%.
Okay, so we are still waiting for court to start, and
Brandon runs LawTube, just so y'all know. He is definitely the puppet master.
Oh, really? Okay.
In the now that I know
that, we're gonna have to take that into consiveration. 100%. 19 likes, yes. Please like and subscribe. Also, I want to mention the Rumble channel. Rumble is I'm building the platform. I'm not going exclusively there yet. I find some issues with their streaming system, and I'm not a terrible fan of it just yet. But in the meantime, I'm still streaming everything there. We might have some special streams that are coming up. In particular, if I can do it somehow, I'm going to try to manage it. We're going to look at a documentary involving Letecia Stauch's expert. And I'm hoping to do that before she actually testifies. Watching this morning's trial a little bit with the judge talking to the attorneys, they have some delay in some witnesses, but at the end of the day, I think they're going to still be on track. This was originally slated for an 8-week trial. Well, they said it's going a lot faster than they thought. But what's the point of going fast if you run out of witnesses and you take an early lunch and we're still sort of on the same path? So I still think it's going to be about 8 weeks for this trial. Hello, everybody. Hello, Monica. Meet Popsicle. Oh, I pulled up there. Meet Popsicle.
You've got some great people in chat. Hi, everybody.
Yes. This is the best chat out there on YouTube and Facebook because they're combined. I stream on Facebook as well for anybody.
Oh, you do? I didn't know that.
Cares. Anyone who has Facebook and would rather watch on Facebook as opposed to YouTube, go ahead and follow me on YouTube as well. And Gigi, yes, congratulations. That's very good. And I rarely drink. I drink like, I don't know, once in a while. I'll have, so in my vows, when I got married to my wife, in the vows, it's that I must provide her with half of my beer and she must drink half of my beer because I only drink like half a beer at a time and she finishes them for me. So it's actually in the vows.
That's cute. I like that.
Yeah. Let's see here.
Well, it's okay. Jennifer, if you don't want to drink, I'll do it for you.
Yes, you go ahead. You go straight for it because
I was not planning on getting drunk before noon on a Monday, but here I am. And you know what? I'm a woman of my word, so that's all.
So okay, so we're still looking at a blank court screen. I was going to see if I can pull up a live police chase for some of you.
That would be fun.
For those,
I couldn't find one. There's no live police chases going on. The closest one is like from 2 weeks ago. Come on, what's going on with you guys in California?
What's up with us? I don't know. What do we do? What do we do wrong?
So some of my listeners are actually like, hey, there's a live police chase on. I'm taking off. I'll be back in a little bit. And they go watch these live police chases and they stream on like Fox 11 out of LA is like a big one. They're constantly streaming live police chases because there's so many of them out in California. And so I thought I would see if there was a live police chase going on for all the Facebook listeners. And there's not right now. So I was a little disappointed because I thought I was going to be able to post a live police chase for you. See, And there's a lot of them that love the live police chases. Ohio is great road video. Ohio State Police. Yeah, but are they as frequent? Like literally, like Fox 11 out of LA has a whole page dedicated to police chases, and they even superimpose the street names over top and everything.
That's fun.
Yeah. So one day ago there was. Oh no, that's just a story. 3 days ago was the last one. A woman steals a van with an elderly cancer patient inside. That was the most recent one. So if you guys know out there in Facebook world of a what's that?
Steals a van with an elderly cancer patient inside.
Oh yeah. San Francisco Valley Pursuit.
Crazy.
Woman steals van with elderly cancer patient inside. So that's the headline. By the way, news headlines are sometimes one of the greatest things in the world. I saw one that had the beginning of the story and the end of the story, and you didn't need to do any work. It said, "Oh God, what the hell was it?" Oh, I'm going to get it wrong if I quote it wrong, but it was something along the lines of, "Woman, woman's boyfriend goes missing 3 days ago. Woman arrested for murder," or something like that. And it was just like you could connect the dots right away.
Yeah, it's interesting. There are all of these statistics that you learn that tell you that, oh, it's always men who are the perpetrators, it's women who are the victims. That's bullshit,
Very much.
if I may say so.
Good evening. Where are you? I feel like I should know. You're in the evening. It's evening for you. No, we do not go again. Maybe Chandler, not me.
I've got 2 left, and
I am empty.
it's an interesting day. I have physical therapy at 3 p.m., so we'll see how that goes. That'll be interesting.
Yes, and we are back. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of foundational evidence, though, today. I have a feeling it's going to be kind of a slow day testimony-wise, without a lot of drama. I'm hoping we don't hear any other screeching recordings
Oh,
from
God,
Letecia.
her voice. May I just say that her voice is one of the most irritating voices I've ever had to listen to. It's extremely, and it's funny because all her stuff about Nancy Grace cracked me up, I will say. But oh my God, that was
At
horrifying.
the same time, I kind of do want to hear her a little more, because I want to hear her crazy ass stories.
I told you I'm entertained by it, unfortunately, and
well, it is entertaining. I will admit that. Yeah.
like I'm like, where are we going next, Letecia?
Yeah,
let's name some more alternate personalities. We've got Rika Suave and Little Ricky, and
I want to know who the next person you're claiming did something. The Petco cartel, though, was just the best ending ever. The lady with her money belly, and oh my gosh.
Ooh, I got the second page. Awesome. Who posted that on the chat? Not the chat, the Facebook group chat. Somebody posted the second letter.
Oh my God. There was another letter. 1 second, I'll be right back, guys.
Oh wait, this is the first letter. The letter we read was in 2021. So this is the first one. So I got them out of order. So we read the second letter, and now we are looking at the first letter. Okay, let me see if I can pull this up. We can go over her first letter while we are waiting. Let's see here. Hang on for a second, guys. I want to do this right and get it in the right order. And oh my God, it's not going to be in the right order. Okay, there's page 1. There's page 4. I'm hoping we get it in the right order. Yes. Okay. All right. Let me save this. I had to combine it into a PDF so that I can present it to you guys. All right. Shall we continue reading the saga that is Letecia Stauch.
Sure.
Okay.
If you want me to narrate at any point, please.
I am happy with you
I'll jump in.
narrating. Actually, it's a lot easier for you to read than me, I feel.
Would you
Okay,
prefer that
so
I do? Okay.
this is filed August 17th of 2020. Werner, is this okay? So this is the Colorado case. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that this wasn't her like extradition hearing or something. Okay, yeah, Chandler, if you want to read, go for it.
All right. Good afternoon, sir. I thank you for taking the time out to read my letter and my concerns about an unfair process that is going on in my case. I have expressed these concerns several times to my defense team and feel that I have not been afforded my rights as a United States citizen. It has been 5 months, and I've met with my defense team one time in March 2020. It is the middle of August. I understand this pandemic is unforeseen, but I don't feel I should be held unconstitutionally, denied access to my attorneys, have constitutional rights violated, and be abused in the process.
Her abuse. I love when she complains about being abused.
Mm-hmm.
She's horrible.
Yeah, you murdered an 11-year-old very viciously, but anyway, let's care about your feelings. First, as you know, there is one 3D DOD. Can you read that? Oh no, sorry. First, as you know, there is over 30,000 and growing pages of discovery in my case. I cannot successfully participate in my defense on a phone call 3 times a week, 1 hour at the jail. I have no way to view any videos, read any reports, review phone data, etc. I'm not an active participant in my case. I know that the jail is listening to my attorney-client calls, as on several occasions I communicated about someone or something specific, and the jail immediately acted upon it. Sorry, this is a little hard to read.
Yeah. Let me see if I can zoom in a touch.
Okay. Officers also wait outside the door, easy to hear, and sometimes a video camera is on at the TV near the phone. Sir, these things are a violation of my rights. In addition, I have no way to write things down, as I am always restrained with more times than not causing injury. Okay.
Well, maybe if you didn't try to escape. She's tried to escape the jail as well as when she was in transport.
So they held her down and she had a problem with that?
Yeah, apparently.
Well, she goes, I understand you cannot tell the jail how to run their facility, but I know that I can't ignore my rights being violated. Okay. Next, sir, I understand the 8th Amendment protects cruel and unusual punishment. Oh, God. And I know the Supreme Court says punishment can be just for the crimes. However, I'm in a county jail, and I'm presumed innocent. Not to mention, I am innocent, and we will...
Oh, no, shit. Now I gotta zoom out again.
Oh, it's okay. I can read it.
And we will
prove it, yes. I've been a pillar in my community in SC, South Carolina, I don't know. I have no adult record, never done drugs, and have a doctorate degree in education. I've proven myself as a responsible citizen and should not be subjected to the cruel punishment that I receive at CJC over 15 plus times. I have been abused in transport, ranging from injuries to ribs, knot on my head, several ankle and wrist bleeding, bruises on my knee in my cell, loss of feeling in my hands.
Junie B. Jones, when was her transport? Do you know the date that she, because I don't have that offhand, when she was transported for extradition? Is this right? This is August of 2020. I feel like that's very close to when she was extradited. And if she's complaining about being abused during transport, is she referring to when she attacked an officer in the car?
Attack an officer? Oh God!
She attacked an officer in the car with a full monster can, and then tried to escape.
Oh my God!
Okay, so this is it. So this is what she's referring to. Really, this horrible human being.
Her whole thing is, I'm a victim, and everybody else has victimized me, and I don't care how much everybody else has been hurt. Only my feelings matter, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's always about her.
Well, I think we scrolled down a little far from where we left off.
Oh, did I gotta go back
But
up?
if you wanted to, yeah, maybe up a little bit more. I don't remember that part.
Peanut butter
More.
because I provide what? Evidence of not only my
I think you've got to
peanut
go up a
butter.
little bit more if we want to just read the full thing.
She received threats in her peanut butter. What the hell does that mean?
Okay, allow me. Over 15 plus times, I have been abused in transport, ranging from injured ribs, knot on my head, several ankle and wrist bleeding, bruising on my knee and my cell, lost of feeling in my hands several times. I've had to be on Ensure. So that's like a nutritional supplement. It's like a drink that, you know, it has all your calories and stuff. 2 weeks due to the poison comments, whatever that means. And just recently on what looks like August 11th, 2020, I received threats in my peanut butter.
Those threats in my peanut butter is what I see.
Because I provided evidence of not only my innocence, but evidence that will show who it was through my PI. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. As a result of this, I assume their runners use people in trusted positions in jail to send me threats in my food, and I'm terrified of what will happen next. I don't know how I'm supposed to properly defend myself going through this unfair punishment, being denied my constitutional rights, being denied access to my attorneys, being under scrutiny, causing daily mental disturbances, being restrained, causing injuries, being denied law library access, etc.
Yeah, who, Dave? Who hasn't gotten notes in their peanut butter?
We all do. We all
Yeah,
do. I mean,
you know,
chunky or
I got
crunchy, doesn't matter.
during my lunch.
Natural.
My peanut butter.
You know.
What is this passing? Okay, so she and another inmate were passing letters. Were they passing it in their peanut butter, and then she's trying to say she got a threat?
Maybe somebody slipped something into the peanut butter jar. That's the only thing. This is not okay in a country in which our country prides itself on democracy, a country with a flag that got a hole in it. What? At Flanders Fields in World War One, one that turned blood red in World War II, or the one that God cut with a sword at Chancellorsville. What is this bitch talking about? Through all this flag stuff.
She's insane, but she's not legally insane. We got to understand that.
It's very clear. This doesn't amount to word salad. I have read things written by schizophrenics before, and she's coherent and comprehensive. She's making an argument. She's making a case. This letter is specifically pointing out the fact that the NGRI plea is totally bogus because she can string a cohesive argument in her defense together.
Oh, interesting. So the inmate that she was trading messages with implicated her or elicited help okay. The inmate turned her in for eliciting help to escape. So then she's probably trying to write that up, which is her MO. Mm-hmm. Anytime anybody says, hey, this is a new evidence, she would then craft a new story to kind of explain everything away. Like when she was confronted about the whole rape allegation with the FBI agent, she ended up coming back and saying, oh, I just told that to Al. I was lying to him because I was pissed at him or whatever. She would craft
there was a rape allegation.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she was raped by like 3 different guys and 2 of them took Gannon or something. I don't know. One of them, apparently, she was asked what during the police interrogation. She was saying that she was being raped in her room, and then Gannon walked in, and then the police officer asked her, "Well, what would Gannon have heard if he walked in?" And she said, "Pleasure noises." So that got myself, well, actually, Bifrons, I think, came up with it. The idea that maybe she was having an affair and Gannon walked in on it. So we're kind of running with that as a possible theory as well.
Gross. Okay.
Yes, very. But that's her MO. Anytime she's confronted with something, then she immediately tries to. There was something else she did.
She's just cluster B. This woman is just the best example of a cluster B personality disorder. I don't know exactly what it is. Yeah. Should I keep reading?
Sure. I don't know where we left off.
We left off after Chancellorsville, that next sentence, so we might want to scroll up.
God, Chancellorsville. Of course,
This
that
is
comes up in a
just-
letter on this case.
Her handwriting changes too, which I actually think is also indicative of cluster B personality disorders.
Oh, yeah. She also accused her husband's coworkers, actually, I think a commander in one of his military units, of SA.
Great.
Yeah.
That's totally reasonable.
Yeah, pleasure noise. No, that's what she said to the officer. So, okay, well, when Gannon walked in on you, what did he hear? And she said pleasure noises.
Gross. Very gross. All right. Through all this, the flag stood. We raise her up every morning because this country still stands for freedom, perseverance, justice, and vigilance. And I know what Congress... I'm going to have to go up a little bit there.
Oh, sorry. Where am I? I'm completely lost as to where you're reading.
No, I know where I am. Congress.
Constitutional rights being denied access to it.
No, I think you scroll down. You're going to have to bring it back up. And I know what Congress decided on June 14th, 1777,
Oh, I see. Okay.
Flag Day, that it still rings true that not even the evil terrorist of 9/11 can take the American spirit away. Wow, she's such a patriot. However, I am sharing the same things that flag showed: valor, courage, purity, and innocence. To write to you to say I do not feel like a U.S. citizen being treated this way in my beloved country.
We got about 6 minutes for the trial to start.
Oh, God. I'm not getting a fair process. I'm not getting represented properly. And I'll give the benefit of the doubt of a pandemic, but the other unjust treatment is not the way that our founding fathers intended this process to go. Not to mention, no pandemic, no terrorist attack, no police riots, etc. can stop our country from being the greatest on earth, upholding the law and staying true to following one's constitutional rights. This is just the surface of my concerns. Oh my God, this lady, I can't.
I know. Okay. As you
Should
will
I keep
see,
going on? Should we give her
they
a voice?
only get worse with illegal searches and seizures. I was a victim of something, as it's mental and physical something. I don't know. Yeah, she's just going on and on.
She was trafficked by what, like all of the different mobs in the world. I mean, I can't.
Yeah, I think this chat says it best. She can't even shut up when she writes. Well,
I'm sorry. Perfect. I thought that reading this letter out loud was the thing to do, and if I've been annoying you all, I sincerely apologize. But oh my God, this lady, I cannot with her.
I wanted to read it out loud because I wanted to see what she had to say, and it is just nonsense. It's more nonsense.
Yeah, it reminds me of the phone calls. I mean, she's like, Nancy Grace's people are checking up on it. It's like, oh my God, I can't with you, lady. No.
Oh yeah, I forgot she said that on day 11.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Nicholas ended up. Nicholas didn't know who Nancy Grace was, and so he ended up watching Nancy Grace and doing a whole stream about it.
I know, that was great.
Was really
the judicial system that I know does not allow a person who is presumed innocent and who is to be in poverty, defend themselves, to be subjected to daily abuse. The 8th Amendment violations does not deny 5th and 6th Amendment or speedy fair trials, does not is that supposed to be interfere with attorney-client privilege? Yes, I can tell you. I thought it said kill. I thought it was a confession. I can tell you many situations in which I know they are listening. Does not physically, mentally, and emotionally abuse innocent people waiting a trial. Does not allow that individual to be in danger, not just from inmates, but from employees also, and does not avoid these situations, causing an individual's mental health to decline and safely be at risk. I live each day not knowing what will happen to me next, what person will put something else in my food, what rights will be denied tomorrow, or what injuries will occur next. I support law enforcement. That's good again. I support military, our country, and I know a few had apples. Bad. Oh, I know a few bad apples. Sorry. Incidents can ruin it for good people. I have no idea what she's asking for in this letter. I'm trying to get to the point of it before trial starts, which is coming here pretty quick.
Dave's trying to get the point of it. That's a good one.
I'm sorry. Was that a futile goal there, trying to get to the point of this letter? Jeez. Sorry, I wasted everyone's time with my goal of getting to the point of it.
No, but like she never has a point. She just talks.
All right, so the cameras are going. We're gonna mask what we can here. Okay, well now that's not going. I don't know. We'll leave it for a second. It should be going here pretty quick. The point of the letter. Okay, so I know there's no point, but she sometimes thinks there is one. So I was trying to figure out what she thought the point was.
I was just making fun of you.
She writes how she talks. She does. She absolutely writes how she talks. It's amazing. I do not. I write more formally than I speak. Okay. Let's see here. Just seeing if I missed any chats, any questions that people had. But yeah, so this woman's essentially insane, but not legally so, because at the end of the day, the question is, and I'll bring it up for everybody who's new and hasn't seen my my post, is okay. So this is legal definition. Defendants are considered insane at the time of the offense if they were either so diseased or defective in the mind as to be incapable of distinguishing right from wrong, or suffering from a condition of the mind caused by mental disease or defect that prevented them from forming a culpable mental state that is an essential element of the crime charged. So at the end of the day, she must be suffer from it, but then also be incapable of determining right from wrong, or unable to form the proper mental state. So the mens rea. She's having internet problems. She's been popping internet. Okay, what was with the bio son? Did anyone figure that out? She claims to have a biological son.
With who? Al?
In her letter, in the first letter that we read, she claimed to have a biological son.
Yeah, I was hearing that too, and I didn't understand what that was coming from.
Yeah, me too. I am absolutely confused about that. Junie, we're going to you.
She said she sent you 40 documents during the break. What were they?
She did. She emailed me stuff. What did she email me? What did you email me? Didn't you email me stuff? Am I in the wrong email? I have so many freaking emails. Okay. Hello, you're back again.
Sorry about that. I don't know what's wrong with my internet. It says that it's on, but then it keeps kicking me out. So it's just a fun quirk of my appearance.
Well, mine's been doing the same. It's been pausing every once in a while. I don't get it. Okay, so we're trying to figure out this whole biological son thing, because this is absolutely new. The first time we heard that she had or claimed to have a biological son is in that letter. So we are looking for that.
Does she have kids that we know of? I mean,
she does. She has one daughter who's 20 now. Her name is Harley. She actually testified for the state.
Right. I remember Al referring to Harley.
Maps, letters, timelines, family tree. Yes, there's a ton of stuff in our chat, in our Facebook chat. But do we know anything about this biological son? And did you put it in the Facebook chat? Junie B. Jones? Okay. I see my court feed, and the court's coming back, and we're usually about 20 seconds delayed, so we should be good here in a minute.
Yeah, but the other two kids aren't her, they're not biologically hers. So yeah, what is.
Okay, you sent it to me directly. So let me check my emails. Let's see here. Oh, Junie B. Jones. By the way, I did see the email with the timeline. That is a very detailed timeline. I like that a lot.
Well, you're gonna have to share.
No.
Why?
No. It's a website. Actually, this website put together a really good timeline on this case. All right, I'm gonna have to find it in a bit. Let me make sure.
Yeah.
Damn it! Sorry, guys. I had it muted. Oh, okay, that email. All right, that's why I'm not finding it. Okay. You sent it to that email, my private email. She was trying to share some Apple notes and stuff, and I don't have an Apple account linked with anything except for my private email. There it is. Do I hear a dog?
Yeah, they're goofuses.
Okay, so there's. Oh, you sent me the thing where she wants to represent herself. Oh, we're gonna have to go through this. Why didn't I see this during the break? All right, thank you, Junie B. Jones. I will get to this stuff definitely.
All rise for the jury, please.
Yes, please like and subscribe. Give the thumbs up. That would be great. Leave a comment during or after the stream. After the stream, I think is good as well. It gets me back up there praying to the Google gods.
Got warm.
Thank you. You may all be seated. Court will recall 20 CR 1358, People versus Letecia. It should reflect the jury has returned to the courtroom. Prosecution, call your next witness.
Yeah, people call Sherry Holes to the stand.
Ms. Holes, if you would step forward and raise your right hand, please, ma'am. You swear affirm the testimony about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Go ahead and have a seat in the witness stand. Please watch your step as you step into the stand.
Does anyone else hear an echo, or is it just me?
I don't hear anything.
Okay.
I heard a little bit. Oh, hey, Skipper. Skipper's in chat. Hi, Skipper. Didn't realize you were here.
Good afternoon, Ms. Holes. How are you doing?
Good afternoon.
Could you please introduce yourself to the jury and spell your first and last name?
Yes, my name is Sherry Holes. It's Sherrie, last of Holes, Holes.
And what is your occupation?
I'm currently employed as a forensic serologist and DNA analyst at the Colorado Springs Metro Crime Lab.
And how long have you been employed such as?
I've been employed in that role approximately 4.5 years at the CSPD Crime Lab.
And what does a forensic serologist
Stop you
do?
for just a moment.
Oh, sure.
Can you
Okay,
move that
while-
so that it's on its
While
side
we're
so it
waiting,
doesn't
can
block
somebody
the view of
text
those two
me
jurors
her
right
name,
there?
because I missed it and I want to get it in the
Oh, let me
tickers.
just put it right here.
Or you can just lay it down on its side either way. Okay.
We'll just do that.
All right, go ahead.
I think I was asking you what a forensic serologist does.
Yes, a forensic serologist examines evidence for the presence of biological fluids. Specifically in our lab, we look for blood, saliva, and also we examine for other potential biological evidence that may be suitable for DNA analysis.
And what kind of experience of training do you have in the field of forensic serology?
Well, my training, first of all, I have a Bachelor of Science degree in Biological Sciences from University of California at Davis. I also have a master's of public health with a specialty in forensic science from University of California, Berkeley. Prior to my employment in Colorado, I was employed in the same capacity for approximately 10 years. I was also a forensic DNA analyst and serologist in various crime labs in California. Most serology training actually does occur on the job. There are a few formal classes that I did take, such as microscopy of semen evidence, and mostly it was on the job training. In fact, when I came to Colorado Springs and was hired here, I spent about a year just going through a training protocol before I was deemed competent and able to begin casework.
And are you peer reviewed when you do a serology examination?
Yeah, so all the reports.
Okay, I'm sorry, guys. I just want to pause it. I'm getting an echo, and I don't know where it's from, and it's, oh my God, driving me nuts. Okay, I'm just going to close this down. Okay, sorry. I apologize.
I
That
write
was just
with my results are
driving me
always
crazy.
technically reviewed by a second qualified analyst within the lab to make sure that they agree with the conclusions that I'm offering in the report. And then there's also another level of review called administrative review before the report goes out by another second qualified analyst, serology and DNA analyst.
And approximately how many forensic serology examinations have you conducted in your career?
Oh, in my career, it's well over 1,000.
You don't keep
No, it
track.
wasn't
each
on the
time you
stream
do
end.
one
It was
and
just
say-
in my headphones, and it was driving me nuts.
I usually average about 100 cases for serology a year. So over the course of almost 15 years, yeah, it's well over 1,000.
That was a bad attempt to try. I'm sorry.
I had a dream about her, too.
Have you testified as an expert in the field of forensic serology in the past?
Yes, I have.
Approximately how many times?
I've been qualified as an expert in this area approximately 40 times previously.
And are those both here and in California?
That's correct.
At this time, we'd ask that the court qualify Ms. Holes as an expert in the field of forensic serology and allow her to render opinions in that field.
I keep missing
Defense?
her name. Does anybody have this witness's
No
name?
objection to her.
Yeah, Sherry Holes.
Witness will be so qualified. Go ahead.
Holes? H-O.
So I want to kind of focus on
This is what I
your
heard.
role as a forensic serologist here in Colorado Springs, the Metro Crime Lab. Were you asked to conduct several forensic serological examinations?
Serological, correct, yeah.
In this particular case, the disappearance of Gannon Stauch.
Yes, I was.
Could you give the jury a rundown on how you come about or how you became involved in this investigation?
So when we get a request from an agency, in this case, the El Paso County Sheriff's Office, typically there's a couple of things that happen. One is they will write a cover letter with a description of the pertinent case details and some of the items of evidence that they would like examined. And then also typically there's a meeting between the submitting agency and our crime lab supervisor, our DNA technical supervisor, and they make decisions as to these are the items that we will accept and which what are the priorities on which items will be tested.
And so is that common in any criminal investigation that the investigating agency will submit a letter asking you to perform analysis on certain items of evidence?
I can't speak to how other laboratories and agencies do it, but that is what we request, just so that we have some background knowledge of. It helps us decide of the case.
For
so
the
that helps
record,
us
my
decide
dream wasn't naughty.
which evidence are best going to answer the questions being posed in the case and what is most probative, in other words, offering proof in the case circumstances.
And is it often in large investigations that you may actually meet with the detectives or other investigative officers to talk about what should be tested and why and that kind of thing?
Yes, definitely they try to do meetings before the first request comes in, but often in a large investigation, there can be several meetings that occur over time as more investigative details come to light or more questions are being answered in the case. And that is what happened in this particular case.
Can you describe that for the jury? Why did that
Thank
happen in
you,
this
Kelly. I
particular
did see
case?
that.
I was not involved in
Finally.
the actual meetings that were occurring. That was our crime lab manager and the DNA supervisor. But from my understanding, as more information was coming to light in the course of the investigation, more questions were being asked, more evidence was being collected on multiple different occasions, which then was coming into the lab with a request for examination.
And when you conduct your examinations, how do you get your results back to the investigating agency?
So once we have, and when I have issued a report and it's gone through the 2 layers of review, it is then released to the investigating detective, the lead detective on the case from one of our administrative staff.
And did you do several reports with regards to this investigation?
Yes, in this particular investigation, I released 7 reports.
And do you know why there were 7 different reports on, I'm assuming, 7 different dates?
Again, I think additional items were being collected, additional questions were being asked as additional evidence was being collected and during the course of the investigation. So they didn't have all of the evidence or even all of the information from that very first request. So again, as they were having more meetings with our lab management, it was decisions were being made that, we need additional items tested.
And so what would be your role, just so you can explain to the jury, in the process of doing your analysis with regards to evidence in this particular case?
My role was to examine the items of evidence for the presence of, mostly for the presence of blood, and then also for other potential biological material that may be there, and consolidate any swabs or cuttings that I take, as well as documentation of the evidence. Documentation is done through photography and from note-taking of my observations of the evidence. And then any samples that I deem would be suitable to go on for DNA analysis, I'm then consolidating into what we call a DNA packet. DNA packet is just an envelope that has numerous tubes that I've prepared. The tubes have little pieces of cuttings or little swabs from the various items of evidence. Then that will go forward to the next step, which is the DNA analysis.
And with regards to this particular investigation, you indicated earlier that you may have been looking for blood or the presumptive presence of blood in these types of items. How would that impact your DNA packet, or whether or not you created a DNA packet with regards to what the results of your blood test was?
So when I am looking for blood, that's always starts with a visual exam. If I see staining that is consistent with visually looks like blood, we then do a chemical color test. It's a presumptive test for blood, meaning it's not a confirmatory test for blood, but it does indicate the presence of that. If I have a stain area that looks like blood, reacts to that chemical presumptive test, I typically will take a small cutting or a swabbing of that stain, trying to preserve additional stain, not take the whole sample when I can. And then that would go into a test tube. That test tube then goes into the DNA packet. I also do what we call trace swabbing, and trace swabbing is areas that may contain DNA cells or cells that have DNA. So many of our tests are so sensitive now in DNA analysis that we don't actually need to have a stain present. We can also get a DNA profile from just a very small number of just cells. Cells can be deposited just through touch or from wearing clothing, that kind of thing. So some of my
So we actually have a DNA
examination is also
expert
doing
willing to
trace.
say that DNA can be transferred via touch, and it doesn't have to be because the body was there. Zachariah Anderson experts pointing at you.
Swabbing. So areas in which I don't actually see a stain, but may be interested in DNA results from maybe through someone having touched an item per se.
Okay. And we'll get to those as we go through the individual items. Did you have several individual physical pieces of evidence that you examined and performed a serological examination?
Dave wants to hear
on
those
those
pleasure
items?
noises she
Yes,
was
I did.
talking about.
And would you also receive swabs from various areas of a residence 6627 Mandan Drive here in Colorado Springs?
Yes, I did.
And would you, when you received all these items, were they all sealed in a protective way so that no one touched them in between the last person who opened the item?
Yes.
And rather than go through that with each item we go through, every item you looked at was sealed when you got it?
Yeah, if anything is not in a sealed condition, I note it, but I do not remember receiving any items in an unsealed manner, no.
And when you create a DNA packet, do you also seal that item and preserve it in a way so that the DNA will not be impacted?
Yes, I do. My envelope that I create that has all the little tubes from the cuttings and swabs, that gets an evidence tape seal once it's ready to go forward, and it's stored frozen for further analysis.
And is that why we don't admit them here in court, because they need to stay in the freezer, that kind of thing, to preserve that DNA?
Yeah, they are best maintained in a frozen manner, and literally it's just an envelope with the tubes inside. So it's best just not to bring it to court at all.
This
So
defendant
to
does
your
think
right
every
are a
man is
series
out and
of
wants her.
exhibits. And I'd like to go through these one by one, as painfully as that sounds, but I think we can go through it fairly quickly. The first exhibit that you'll see in that box on that table is Exhibit 182. Could you pull that out and tell us what that is?
Yes, check out my Rumble, guys.
This is labeled as the toothbrush belonging to Gannon Stauch.
And do you need to open that to see that that's the toothbrush in there?
I can see it from the bottom. It's been partially opened.
Okay. And when you received that, was it sealed, of course?
Yes, it was.
What did you do with that particular 20?
The report was issued on February 8th, that work, yes.
It says that the request date was February 5th, 2020. So did you do the actual testing sometime in between those two dates?
Yes,
So Gannon's body had not been discovered yet.
correct.
So you created a DNA packet for this item?
Not just for this item, but yes, this would be one of the items, those little cuttings of the toothbrush bristles and the swabs, those would go into test tubes and be included in the DNA packet with other samples that I collected.
Now, earlier you testified that you're also a forensic DNA analyst. Is there a reason why you didn't do DNA on this particular item versus creating a packet and sending it on?
Yeah, at this point in time, I was not a qualified DNA analyst at the lab here in Colorado Springs. So my only role
So is this another
was to do
newbie?
serology examinations.
So now you can do both, right?
I'm to a certain point in my DNA analysis training that I am qualified to a certain step, but there's always more training to be done.
Did this item and other items go on to Donna Minogue for further DNA testing?
Yes.
And I don't know if we want to just stick that back in
Oh,
the
sure.
box, just that so it doesn't get too cluttered up there.
All right.
Or that works too. Okay. The next item in there is People's Exhibit 184. You could pull that out and tell us what that is.
Yes, DNA standards for Gannon's biological father.
And do you need to open that to see what's in there?
It's partially open. There's, I can take a look at this. Okay, there's just some swabs that are in here.
Are those buccal swabs from Mr. Eugene Stauch, also Al Stauch?
Yes, buccal swabs are swabs that are taken from the inside of the cheeks and the gum area, and those are taken as a reference standard or a known DNA standard that will be later on used for comparison purposes.
I guess while we're doing that, let's pull out 185 as well. What is People's Exhibit 185?
DNA standards for Gannon's biological mother, Landon. Okay. Yes, this also contains 2 sets of swabs.
And so those buccal swabs as well from Gannon's mother?
Yes, these are buccal swabs also collected as reference standards from Gannon's mother.
Now, we're doing this together, but I'm assuming when you conduct the test, you're doing things individually, right? You're not mixing and matching items of evidence?
So we have yes, that's correct. We have a very set process on how we examine items of evidence in the lab. We always, before we even start any examination, we do a thorough cleaning of our workspace using bleach. We know that DNA, because it's so sensitive, our testing procedures are so sensitive, they are prone to contamination. So we have to be very careful, make sure we don't leave our own DNA on any evidence. So that involves wearing protective face coverings and hand coverings and gloves, hair coverings as well. And then we also want to make sure that there's no contaminating DNA on our work surfaces. So those are always bleached down in between every single item of evidence. We always lay out a fresh piece of like white butcher paper, so the evidence actually doesn't even touch any of our work surfaces. Any of our implements are cleaned as well. And then we always look at the order in which we look at items of evidence is also important. We try to look at evidence items that may have potentially
is
low amounts of DNA
Rosalito
before we would look
or
at
Rosalio
evidence items that
Gutierrez
have
from the
high amounts
Zachariah
of DNA,
Anderson
something
trial.
that would be very bloody, would have an expected high amount of DNA. We wouldn't want that to contaminate our work surfaces at all. So the order in which we examine is important. And then lastly, we always look at reference samples last after looking at all the other evidence items.
Did I say
And with
Zachariah
regards to
Anderson
People's
trial?
Exhibit
I thought I did.
184 and 185, what did you do exactly to create a DNA packet for those two buccal swabs?
So the buccal swabs, individually, of course, one by one, examining those. My role was just to take a portion of one of the buccal swabs. I essentially it's like a long Q-tip, like a Q-tip. I was looking for the possible presence of blood.
Did you see with your eye the presence of possible blood?
I did.
And what did you do upon seeing that?
So once I visually see staining that looks like it may be blood, I then do the chemical color presumptive test, which was positive for the presence of blood on the carpet. And then I do, actually on the back of that rolled up piece of carpet, I then swabbed a portion of that potential blood staining so that portion of that swab can go in the test tube and then into the DNA packet for further analysis.
And do you have People's Exhibit 386 there
I do.
next in the list?
Yes.
What is People's Exhibit 386?
Let's see. This
It is
is
the Roaring 20s,
three
isn't it?
sets of possible blood swabs.
And what are those blood swabs from? Does it indicate on the
It
envelope?
does, yes. These were identified using placards A, B, and C, collected from the stairs and the floor of the garage.
And so what are these? Are these Q-tips or am I being too general here?
It's very much like a Q-tip. Their swabs come in sterile packaging. So typically there's a sterile wrapper, and within there are two swabs that when our crime scene investigators are collecting these, they would open up
We actually
sterile
haven't had any
packaging,
testimony
take out
about
these
the
two
DNA.
swabs,
A
which
lot of
look like a Q-tip,
foundational
but they have
stuff, a lot
long
of
wooden
swabs,
sticks.
a lot of this and that.
And then once
Gathering
they're
it,
finished
but we haven't heard
swabbing
the actual
these
testimony of the
particular areas,
DNA.
they go back into the individual swab wrappers, and that's how I receive them. This one has 3 sets, meaning there'd be 3 separate collections then contained within this outer envelope.
Are the 3 sets labeled in a particular way?
I'm gonna need to refer to my notes.
Don't have carpet.
See.
Now, page 2 of 4 of your
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
report.
Is that on my report or my notes?
It's in your report.
Okay, I'm just gonna look at my notes.
Yes, the
Okay.
defendant's hands were
Let's
beat
see.
up. She had marks and bruises and looking like she got into a fist fight when she was at the hospital about a day.
Okay,
2 days
so
later.
they actually, inside the outer envelope, inside there was 3 smaller tape sealed manila envelopes.
Thank you.
And each of those were labeled with either an A or a B or a C to indicate the placards that they had used while they were collecting the evidence.
And does it say where these placards were located within the residence?
Let's see.
Was it in the garage?
Yeah, so the outermost barcode label, which they put on here, says from the stairs and the floor of the garage.
So with regards to these placards, if the jury wanted to, they can look at photographs and go to the garage and look for placards A, B, and C, and that would reference the swabs that we're talking about?
Yes, correct.
So what did you find with regards to?
That's towards chat members. That's towards me. That's towards my guests. That's towards anything else. And please don't ban or put anyone in a timeout unless they're a chat bot. Spam or some sort. Otherwise, we're good. Okay? So let's leave it at that. Or you can go somewhere else. I don't give a fuck.
I think 451 was a different one. So let me show you that again so you can look at the lab number.
Okay.
So getting back to Dave or the actual trial, yes.
So,
Bloody carpet, and she tried to burn him.
okay, so that's the dash
candle.
01. That's for carpet 1,
Okay.
right? Okay.
Is the next one carpet 2 then?
The next one should be carpet 2.
So same thing with carpet 2. What did you find on carpet 2, which is People's Exhibit 503?
Yes. Carpet 2 also had visible staining and also reacted positive to the presumptive test for blood.
And did you also look at the foam padding associated with People's Exhibit 503?
Yes, I did.
And what did you find in the foam padding of People's Exhibit 503?
Also, foam padding had visible staining and was positive for the presumptive presence of blood.
The next exhibit in the box to your right should be People's Exhibit 512. Can you pull that out?
Yes.
What do you see in People's Exhibit
She
512?
looks better with the readers.
This one is labeled as the electrical outlet cover with possible blood. And it
There was so
says
much blood
collected
sprayed in
from
this boy's
southeast
room.
corner of
It actually
southeast
got
room,
behind
child room
a
of
cover plate
basement.
for an electrical outlet.
And what did you find after, did you conduct a presumptive test for blood on that item?
I did. I noted some visible staining on the electric outlet cover. I did the presumptive test for blood, which was positive.
And did you perform a DNA kit for that item?
Well, I did do some swabbing of the stained area that could then go on for DNA analysis. Yes.
And so do you do that, for instance, if it's a physical piece of item that may have blood on it, would you actually swab the blood versus a CSI at the scene swabbing like the garage floor that we already talked about?
Yeah, typically when we train CSIs or law enforcement officers, we always suggest that if they can collect the item and bring it into the lab so the serologist can examine it, that's the best practice. If it's an item that is just not movable, such as a garage floor or just too unwieldy to collect, then they do some sampling as well. But we always prefer on anything that can be packaged and brought into the lab, we always would prefer to examine it ourselves and do all of the documentation and collection in the lab.
Jamie is a lot of
Is
fun.
the
She does
swabbing
the-
the same
We'll
process?
give her time
though,
to
the
speak.
same, keep referring to it as a Q-tip. Is there something else I should refer it to?
Yeah, swab or Q-tip. It's the same. We always have these. So we use the sterile package swabs that we open up, and then I label the swab wrapper as to what I'm going to be, what the barcode number is associated with it, and I swab it. I let it dry. Once it's dry, I can then take a portion of the swab, put it into a sterile test tube for DNA analysis.
We can put that back, and then the next item should be People's Exhibit 516. That,
Yes.
and what is People's Exhibit 516?
This is labeled as possible blood swabs collected from electrical socket in southeast corner of southeast room, child room, of basement.
Yes, that's
Do you
where
know
the
if
state
that
is alleging
socket
it.
is
He
related to
was
People's Exhibit
beaten
512, the item
essentially
we just
and
looked
killed
at?
was in
Yes,
his
I
bedroom.
believe that they did actually.
Um,
I'm not sure who.
I don't
actually
necessarily buy
collected the
it
swab, but
because there's
that it
video
was
of the
swabbed
boy
prior to being
leaving
collected
and looking to be
submitted
in
the lab.
pain, but then
And
not
what did you
necessarily
do with that
returning.
particular exhibit?
So
This particular exhibit,
there's a lot
I
of blood
just
there.
noted some coloration on the swab, and then let's see, tested it with the presumptive test for blood, which was positive. I then took a portion of the swab, cut portion of the swab, put it into the test tube for DNA analysis.
The next time I want to talk to you about is in your report. It's People's Exhibit 504, but in your report you label as Carpet 2. Does that refresh your recollection a little bit about the 3 different carpets you looked at?
Okay, yes. So there was a carpet 1, there was a carpet 2, and then there was an unlabeled carpet rug. So,
Right.
okay,
Right.
yes.
So what did you find with regards to People's Exhibit 504, what you have labeled as Carpet 2 in your report?
Again, visible staining was
It's
present
apparently
on the
up for
carpet.
sale, the house, or at
chemical
least it
presumptive
was. We
test
saw
for
a
blood
Zillow
was
listing
positive.
for it.
And did you forward that on for DNA analysis?
Yes, samples were taken on carpet 2 from the back side of the carpet. Swabs were taken, cuttings were taken, and even some of the stained fibers were taken, all to be forwarded for DNA analysis.
did you do the same for the padding that was related to carpet 2, People's Exhibit 504?
Same process, did a visual exam, noted staining, which was presumptive positive for blood. And again, took a small cutting of the stained area that could be forwarded for DNA analysis.
And with regards to carpet 1 and carpet 2, do you know where this carpet came from with regards to 6627 Mandan Drive?
They were labeled as coming from the southeast room, also known as the child's room in the basement.
That been Gannon's room, or did you know?
That's my understanding, that they were from Gannon's room.
Was it your understanding that there was a large area of blood in the corner of his room underneath his bed?
Yes.
Yes, they found 3 bullets, one in
I
his
now want to
head,
turn
2
to your
in the
February
pillow
28th,
that was with him
2020
in the
report.
suitcase.
And I
So
believe
3 shots fired in the
the
house
next item in the
is what the
box would be
state says,
People's
although
Exhibit
no witness heard
371.
anything.
Is that right?
So I think it wasn't done in the house. I think maybe the
That's
child was beaten in the house
378.
and bled in the house,
Do you see 3?
but not necessarily was shot in the house. I don't know. That's my theory. Jamie, you've heard all this testimony. What do you think?
I still don't know where she shot him at. To me, but
Yeah, I
it
guess
sounds
it's
like
not
it's in
clear.
all the blood.
And then Nicholas, was it Nicholas or somebody else? Maybe it was somebody in the chat that was like, you might not have heard a 9mm inside the home.
Was he stabbed first? My understanding he was stabbed, what, 18 times?
He was stabbed 18 times, which apparently were not fatal, even though one of them was in the back into the chest cavity, but apparently with medical treatment, it wouldn't have been fatal. The blunt force trauma to the head that essentially cracked the skull, and the bullet wound through the chin that lodged in the head after going through the spine is what killed him.
That's horrifying. So there was blunt force trauma to the skull before the headshot that you were referring to?
She's assuming. The ME, of course, is like, yeah, I don't know, but I would assume either that or at the same time. But the defendant actually said in one of her recordings that she was upstairs on her Peloton. Sure, she was on her Peloton.
Mm-hmm.
And then heard the alarm go off that said fire. And she went downstairs and there was a bunch of smoke. And Gannon apparently was sleeping, but then also on fire at the same time. So she jumped on him.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of her testimonies, or
Right.
not her testimonies, one of her statements to Ellen.
One of her many stories about the different things that happened that caused his death. I'm
Right,
sure
and
they
I feel
haven't
like
heard
they
the
get more
truth yet.
fantastical as she goes. So, and that one was closer to the beginning of her story. So I feel like that's more true. I feel like he probably spilled the candle and she got pissed and like jumped on him or somehow physically punished him until, oh shit, I went too far. Now I need to make him disappear to cover this up.
That's entirely possible. I think
That's
that
what
all
I
the
think
stories
happened.
we've heard a lot of stories from her as to what happened and who caused it, and I think that ultimately she killed him because she was angry. Whatever her motivation was, I don't care. He was a child. It's very clear that she committed this murder, and I'm not going to believe a single word that she says as far as her description of events. So maybe the first story is closer to the actual story, but
what do you think what do you think happened?
I don't know. I'm not clear. I mean, the fact is that with a defendant like this, somebody who has a clear personality disorder, it's not entirely plausible to come up with a scenario based on what she has said. I don't rely on her testimony whatsoever.
No.
So I don't know.
feel
What
the
do you
same
think,
way.
Jamie?
Oh, I was just responding to the chat here. It
Oh,
wants
sure.
to give make me want to give my kids extra hugs. I feel the same way. My kids are all teenagers,
Yeah.
16, 17 years old. I feel the same way.
It's
yeah.
it's incredibly cruel to. I mean, an 11-year-old. I mean, I have little cousins who are young, and I have a cousin who's about that age. And the idea of anybody being that cruel, doing that kind of a horrific thing to somebody like my little cousin's age, it's awful. It's abhorrent.
But I mean, with all the blood that was in the house, she had to have stabbed, or I don't think she shot him at the house.
Now, Michael pulled up here. He said that there was an accidental discharge of a 9mm in the home, sleeping in the room over and didn't hear it wake him. So a 9mm is kind of a sharp sound. and I don't know how there's not a lot of bass to it. I mean, and I don't know how that would travel through walls. So maybe it's possible.
Unless you have a silencer, which
I
is
don't
in
think they
evidence.
have a silencer. They didn't talk about any silencer. They talked about a
Doesn't
lot of
sound like
guns.
that's in discovery, so that's the only thing. But if it's not a discovery, it's not relevant.
Yeah.
Yeah. They did have the gun that they declare was the murder weapon, and it's a 9mm. There was no silencer attached to it, and it was on the nightstand in the master bedroom. So she just kept it out and ready, apparently.
371 up there. Oh, I
Yeah.
apologize. 371 is defendant's buckle swabs. Do you recall getting defendant's buckle swabs?
Let's see. Were they part of a kit? Let me take a
No,
look.
they're currently admitted into evidence, but they're in a freezer somewhere.
So I did actually get buckle swabs. They were part of an evidence collection kit taken from
That's true.
Letecia
There were
Stauch,
bullets in the pillow.
which had fingernail scrapings
Could have
and a
been
buckle
used to
swab.
suppress.
So I did portion out some of the buckle swab from Letecia Stauch for DNA analysis.
Thank you
And that
very
went on
much
to
for
Donna Minogue's
supporting my Cash
analysis.
App.
Correct, yes.
All right. So now let's go to the shoes that you have there. People's Exhibit 378. Are those the shoes you looked at?
Yes, they are.
Is that People's Exhibit 378?
Correct, yes.
Now, earlier you testified about swabbing for DNA for the presence of things that are other than blood. Did you do that with this particular item?
Yes, I did. Again, we call that trace DNA swabbing. It's in areas that we don't see staining, but we may be interested in any, say, skin cells that may be left by, in these cases, shoes, maybe someone who wore the shoes. We could potentially still get DNA from swabbing, in this case, the inside soles of the shoes.
And so can you demonstrate, I know the shoes are in plastic. Can you kind of demonstrate to the jury
I don't know if I have
where
that
you
picture in my queue,
swabbed
but I'll try to
the
pull it up.
shoes, in the hopes of finding DNA for the owner of those shoes?
Sure. So for the owner, I would expect that their DNA would be on the inside soles. So
That's him at
I
8
actually,
a.m.
for
on that
each
morning.
shoe
He goes
individually, these are
disappears.
separate
He just
swabbings.
disappeared.
I took the swabs together and I swabbed the insole, like reaching into the shoe, and then also the back heel area. And that was done separately for the right and left shoes.
And did that get forwarded on for DNA analysis?
Yes, it did.
Did you also swab any potential blood on the outside of those shoes?
Yes, on the right shoe,
Hey.
I did swab. It did react. The right shoe did react to the chemical presumptive test for blood on the outsole. So on the bottom of the shoe. So I actually just swabbed the entire outsole, including all of the recessed areas of the shoe as well.
Absolutely. It's okay.
Now,
Ryan, you're
when
good.
you got these shoes, were you able to visibly see blood on them or what appeared to be blood?
So I did note that they had kind of an orangish, reddish coloration. I didn't. Sometimes things can look like blood and they don't react, and other times, the blood potentially can take different colorations. Both shoes had that coloration, although the left shoe did not react to the presumptive presence of blood. So unclear if the coloration is due to potential blood staining, but the right shoe did react to the presumptive test for blood.
And what happens to blood if you put shoes in a washing machine and run the washer?
So what happens to blood? So blood obviously is going to, for the most part, be washed off, but within blood, there are cells. And cells can sometimes survive washing. We do know through actual studies that have been published that some DNA can survive washing. Of course, some would be lost to the wash process, but depending on various factors such as what type of substrate or surface the DNA was deposited on, what type of wash cycle, what type
She
of
took the
detergents,
picture
or
to send it
even
to
if
Al.
bleaches were used. Those are all going to impact whether or not we would get recoverable
When she claimed he
amounts of
wasn't feeling
DNA
well.
from something that has gone through the wash.
Al,
When
the
you
father of
received
Gannon.
these shoes, did you notice anything that was consistent with them being run through a washing machine?
I actually did note for these shoes that they had a strong, what I called clean odor.
And yet you still saw some discoloration that appeared to be blood to you on these shoes?
I did note discoloration on the soles of the shoe, the outsoles.
I don't
And
know
that's
if you're a
where
moderator. So that would
focused
be the
my
problem.
attention as far as presumptive testing for blood, and was able to find positive results on the outsole of the right shoe.
Did you also receive a swab with regards to this case, which is People's Exhibit 246? Should be in that box there. If it's not in that box, I can just ask you
I
about it.
actually found it. Here it is. Okay.
Okay. What is People's Exhibit 246?
This is labeled as package of 2 swabs for woman's black and white Nike shoe. And then there's some indications on the bottom, handwritten swabs from Nike shoes,
I'll look
laundry
into it.
room, right shoe.
And so are those consistent with People's
Every
Exhibit
piece of evidence throws her insanity
378, the
out the
Nike
window.
shoes that you just talked about?
Yeah, they actually were swabbed prior to being submitted into the lab. The outsole was swabbed.
And did you submit that on to DNA analysis?
I did this, I believe I actually tested it for the presumptive presence of blood. I did, and that was positive. So yes, and then a portion was submitted on for DNA analysis.
You need help getting rid of some of those
No,
exhibits?
I got it.
Next one to go to People's Exhibit. Well, before we leave 378, did you talk about all the areas you swabbed, both outside and inside of the shoe?
Let me just refer to my report. Okay, so the right shoe, I did swab the entire outsole of the right shoe that had reacted positive for the presumptive presence of blood, even in all of those little recessed areas as well. I did swab the right shoelace as well. And then I took the trace swabs that we talked about for wearer DNA on the inside sole and the inside back heel area. The left shoe, I did not get any presumptive positives. They were all negatives. So I only did those trace swabs on the insole of the left shoe.
And were those individually packaged for DNA analysis? So when Donna Minogue did her DNA analysis, she knew exactly what she was doing based on your labeling.
Yes, I always label the swab wrappers with what I'm collecting. And then also the test tubes get the same itemization as well.
And does that apply to everything where you create a DNA packet? Do you label it so Donna Minogue, who does the DNA analysis, can then say, this is the item that Sherry Holes looked at?
Yes, that's their standard practice within the lab.
The Facebook people are always about the live.
I next want to turn to
live
People's
cartoons.
Exhibit 459. Do you have that there?
I do.
What is People's Exhibit 459?
This is labeled as swabs of Blue Star presumptive positive reactions in garage and laundry room of 6627 Mandan Drive.
So what is the Blue Star? I know the jury has heard a lot about Blue Star, but what does Blue Star mean to you, and how do you treat that differently? For instance, a swab that says blood on the garage floor is A, B, and C said.
Sure. So Blue Star is another chemical presumptive test. It works in very much the same way as the chemical test I'm using in the lab. I use a different one, but it has the same process.
The defendant
Blue
looks really
Star
bored
is
at the
used by our
defense table, by the way.
CSIs out at crime scenes. And it's typically used in areas in which they suspect there might be blood, or they're looking to see if there's blood, but it's really not visible to them. And they can spray this reagent onto an area. It will react. It's very, very sensitive. It will react even if an area has been cleaned, potentially. So it's chemiluminescent. Usually that's something that they do in a darkened room, and it's much like luminol. It glows, and they can take photographs of areas that are reacting. When they find a Blue Star positive area, then they swab it for us and they submit it into the lab. But because it's already gone through a chemical presumptive test, they don't need to now repeat another chemical presumptive test. It's already reacted positive to the Blue Star. It's the same process that my test would do. So when I get something labeled as Blue Star positive, my role is typically just to, like in this case, these are swabs, just go ahead and collect a portion of the swab into a test tube and forward it on for DNA analysis.
And is that what you did with 459?
Yes.
And Did you do that with everything that was labeled Blue Star, at least swabbing of the Blue Star?
When things were swabbed, yes, there were a few items, larger items that said Blue Star positive that
star
I
this and
did
come back to it
still,
broken
like
bit.
carpeting. I did still do a visual exam, but swabs, I just took a portion. I didn't do further chemical presumptive testing.
So with regards to People's Exhibit 518, which should be the next exhibit, did you do the same things with that particular item?
Yes, this is labeled swabs of Blue Star positive reactions from the staircase between the main level and basement of 6627 Mandan Drive. Again, my role was just to take a sample using a scalpel, take off a small portion of the swabs, put them into the test tubes.
Is that 518 you're looking at?
Yes.
And so let me, if I can approach her.
You may.
Hi, David. Susan.
That was my voicemail. Yes, like and subscribe, please. Tell your friends about the show. Spread the good word.
Sure.
All right, let me get to this real quick. So they're not determining whether or not what kind of punishment she needs or what kind of treatment she needs. This is the underlying
Let's
thing.
now jump
is
to
whether or
your
not she
March
actually
17th,
is
2020
guilty of the
report.
crime.
And I'm going to
So,
hand you what's been.
and we have the right to a
admitted
jury
evidence
trial
as
if you're going to be
People's
assessed
Exhibit
for guilt or not.
423.
I guess if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of an
Something for you to
analogy.
like.
Like
Okay.
You
Yes.
recognize that?
quick analogy, if you in Michigan anyways, if the state wants to bring a case against you to terminate your parental rights and remove your child from you, you have the right to a jury trial to determine whether or not there's grounds for that. And if grounds are established to terminate parental rights, then it goes to the court and a bunch of professionals to determine, okay, so the court has taken jurisdiction over your children. Now what's appropriate? Is it to get you help? Is it to terminate outright? Is, we're going to have review hearings. But at the initial stage, you still have the right to a jury. If that makes sense.
That
I do recognize the label on it. I did not package it in this packaging, but yes, I recognize this is a plastic tub and lid with possible blood.
did you examine this item?
I did.
Do you need to open it to look at it?
No, I don't.
Do you need me to open it?
No.
All right. What did you do with People's Exhibit 423?
I need to take a phone call, so I'll be
This
back.
item was
shortly.
examined for the possible
Okay.
presence of blood, so I did do some visual examinations. That's how we always start all of our serology. And I did note that there was some red-brown staining on one short end of this plastic tub, on the tub and on the lid. I then did my chemical presumptive tests for blood, which were positive. I then took a number of different collections, swabs of these different blood stains or potential suspected blood stains, and those were then forwarded for the DNA analysis.
Can you just generally describe where you swabbed this item and how you labeled it for DNA analysis?
Sure. I collected, one collection was swabs of a suspected blood stain on the outside lip of the lid, short end of the tub with the label, meaning there was actually a sticker label on the tub. So I was differentiating that side from the other side, which did not have a sticker
And then
label.
when Jamie starts her channel, you guys
Second
can follow
collection
her
was
too.
swabs of suspected blood stain on outside corner of lid, short end of tub with
Who
label.
needs yours the rest of my
Third
life?
collection was swabs of suspected blood stain on outside lip edge and side of container, short end of tub with label. And the fourth collection was swabs of suspected blood stain on the inside corner of the lid, short end of the tub with label.
And again, Donna Minogue would be able to know exactly what she's testing based on your labels.
Correct, yes.
We can go to your May 27th, 2020 report now. And I'll have you look at People's Exhibit 278, which should be in that box next to you there. Do you have that?
I do.
What is People's Exhibit 278?
This is labeled as one package of 2 swabs from the bed located on east wall of Gannon's room.
Did you test that item for blood?
I did, yes.
And what was your results?
Presumptive positive for blood.
And did you forward that on to DNA for DNA analysis?
Yes, I did.
Did you also conduct analysis on other swabs within that People's Exhibit 278?
This is This is one package of swabs. There was a separate item submitted called additional package of swabs from bed. I don't believe it's contained within this exhibit, but there was a separate item, which we have a separate barcode for, also from the bed, also positive for blood, or presumptive positive for blood.
And did that also go on to DNA analysis?
Yes, it did.
How about People's Exhibit 191?
Jamie, they're calling for a doggy cam.
What is that, by the way?
This is labeled as a Brillo scrub
great.
brush.
I'm gonna rile them up.
And what
They
did you do with
come-
that Brillo scrub brush?
I examined it visually for the possible presence of blood. I did note some staining on the brush, and I was then able to do get the positive presumptive test for blood, and then do some collections of the staining that could go for DNA analysis.
Yeah,
I'm assuming
similar.
You forwarded that on to DNA analysis?
I did, yes.
Where did you see, where did it test positive for blood on that particular item? Do you have that in your notes?
I do. This particular item tested positive on this kind of, oh, you actually can see it. It's kind of a flat type scrub brush with a handle. It tested positive on the flat surface on that back side of the brush.
And did you see any indication that this item may have been washed?
May have been washed. Let me check my notes.
You can actually look at the exhibit. Can you see where that exhibit was recovered from?
It actually does not note, let me see the notes on this one actually is just called Brillo scrub brush. That's all that it's denoted.
That's fine. How about People's Exhibit 192? Do you have that?
I do, yes.
What is People's Exhibit 192?
This one is called a blue and white scrub brush.
Is it
Okay.
called?
Go ahead and tell us what you did with that.
So also visually examined and did note staining on this scrub brush, which was positive for the presumptive presence of blood. I then was able to collect stains from 3 separate collections. I collected from the base of the scrub brush head, between and on the bristles. Suspected blood stains were also collected from the back of the scrub brush head, and suspected blood stain was collected on the actual scrub brush bristles themselves.
And did that get forwarded on to DNA for DNA analysis?
It did, yes.
How about People's Exhibit 193?
People's Exhibit 193 is labeled as scrub brush with possible hair and carpet fiber.
What did you do with that particular exhibit?
Same process. I did a visual exam, did note some suspected blood staining, and which reacted to the chemical presumptive test for blood. I then collected possible blood stains on the back of the flat scrub brush.
Went on to DNA for DNA analysis?
Yes, it did.
Okay. Next item is People's Exhibit 417. Do you have that up there?
I do.
What is People's Exhibit 417?
This is described as 3 sets of possible blood swabs, tested presumptive positive blue star, collected from basement living room carpet, pillow on north couch, and area rug.
And did you forward those 3 swabs on for DNA analysis?
Yes, these were 3 separate swabs from some blue star areas. These also were sampled, placed in the test tubes, forwarded on for DNA analysis.
People's Exhibit 519.
Okay, this item is labeled swabs of blue star presumptive positive reactions from basement. Let's see, base of stairs and southeast child's room.
And how many swabs total are in that particular exhibit?
Let's see. This particular exhibit has, let's see, 6 different collections in it.
And I'm assuming those are packaged in 6 different tubes?
So of these, let's see, are they packaged in separate tubes when I do my packaging or how I receive them?
When you receive them?
So when I receive them, they typically are in, let me just check my notes. They actually were in 6 separate tape sealed manila envelopes. And each of the envelopes then had a description of where it had been collected from.
And since these are Blue Star swabs, did you just prepare these for DNA analysis?
Yeah, my preparation is just to sample or cut a portion of a swab to forward it on to DNA analysis.
We can go to your June 17th report now and have you look at People's Exhibit 361.
Okay.
Well, I've got that here. If I can approach you.
You may, go ahead.
I'm going to pull out a suitcase that's been entered in evidence and People's Exhibit 361. Do you recognize this item?
I do.
You need to put some gloves on, which I
Oh,
probably should put some gloves
I have
on.
gloves. Yeah.
Because I'd like to have you demonstrate where you swab this particular item, okay?
Sure.
Eric, can the witness come out here and I'll hold this
That's fine.
while she does that? So, did you swab this item for blood?
I did on the inside of this.
Go open this suitcase and show the jury where you swabbed it?
I noted staining in this area, this reddish brown staining, which did react to the presumptive test for blood. And this was the area that was swabbed.
You'll see staining there?
All right, I got a really annoying
Is that
phone
your
call, so I had to
circle that's on
jump
this
out.
suitcase?
Yeah, I circled the stain area. That's just for when I take photographs. I've also noted LMG positive. LMG is just shorthand for leukomalachite green. That's, I'm sorry, leuco, L-E-U-C. Okay, that's too fast. It's the chemical presumptive test that I'm using in the lab. This LMG positive means it has reacted, and then I take photographs of this stain from various angles and with a scale. And I always like to have that notation in my photograph.
Are there other areas within this suitcase that you noted and swabbed?
There are other areas
I
that
did notice that
noted.
there's a
I've
lot of
seen
luggage
other
in this house.
potential
I don't know
Yeah.
why.
stains, like,
There's
for
so
example,
many suitcases.
by lining. Actually, there's 2 that I have noted staining, but I've circled and said LMG negative, meaning I did do the chemical presumptive test, but it did not react. So I don't swab stains that don't react to the presumptive test.
I'll be back in just after.
It's fine.
Did you forward these swabs from the suitcase on for DNA analysis?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Did you
maybe.
also look at a
military family?
blanket, People's Exhibit 365?
I did, yes.
Sorry, People's Exhibit 365.
Yeah, I missed it too. I don't know whose suitcase that was. That wasn't the one they
I think
found
you can
Gannon
just
in,
use
though.
this in the
Is
closet
it?
if you don't mind.
Press.
They would have
Okay.
made a big fuss
I'm
about it
gonna hold it
because
if you wouldn't mind.
they
Sure,
did last
sure,
time.
Can you see the areas where you swabbed this blue blanket?
That's
On the
not
other
the
side?
suitcase that they found Gannon
On the
in.
dark blue side, it's on the light side and the dark
That
side.
purple one.
Yes. Yeah, that I can see it on the.
All right, I'll hold it while you point things out for the jury.
So I examined the entire blanket and I did note in this area right here. And there's kind of some reddish brown staining, which I circled, multiple different stains that did react to that presumptive test for blood. So I actually took, you can kind of see these tiny little squares. That's where I took cuttings from this. Because it's together, I was able to combine those into one test tube. And so that's the only area sampled on the blanket for DNA.
Did that test positive for blood?
It did.
Do you know whether or not this blanket was inside this suitcase when it was recovered?
Yes, I did put that in my report. Blue blanket recovered from within suitcase.
And those swabs, again, were forwarded on for DNA analysis.
Yeah, those were cuttings put into a test tube that was forwarded for DNA analysis.
Now, we don't have an exhibit that's titled Gannon's fingernails, but did you have an opportunity to examine the fingernails from autopsy from Gannon Stauch?
I did, yes.
What did you do with those particular fingernails?
Just going to refer to my report and notes. Okay. So of the right hand, I received 2 entire fingernails. From the left hand, I also received 2 entire fingernails. Separately, I examined them and I did swab the undersides of the distal ends, meaning the ends furthest from, like, I guess, the knuckle. I did swab separately the right undersides and the left undersides of those fingernails. And for each case, for both the right hand and left hand, the swabs from underneath the fingernails were positive for the presumptive presence of blood.
And did you forward those on to DNA for DNA analysis?
Yes, I did.
And why did you do that?
Why did I forward or why did I
And
swab?
why were the fingernails that we knew came from Gannon forwarded on for DNA analysis? Do you know?
To look for the presence of possible foreign DNA, which may be on the fingernails.
I want to jump to your report dated March 17th. And do you have People's Exhibit 194 up there?
Yes.
What is People's Exhibit 194?
This is an empty plastic Heinz vinegar bottle.
And did you receive that bottle into your lab for analysis?
I did.
And what did you do with regards to that bottle?
Again, I was looking at this bottle for the possible presence of blood. I did note some faint light staining around the handle area of the bottle, which did test presumptive positive for blood. And that area was swabbed and then forwarded for DNA analysis.
You have People's Exhibit 435 up there?
Yeah, I don't think they took DNA clippings from or fingernail clippings for DNA, but they
What is
did
People's
do
Exhibit 435?
fingernail
This is People's
scrapings.
Exhibit 679.
And I thought it was
Okay,
presumed
that's
that
the
it was
next one.
I don't
me see.
have any
like
more
under the
exhibits in here.
fingernails.
Well, let me just do it this way. Do you recall examining an Amazon box that had potential blood on it?
I do.
And was this Amazon box recovered from the storage room at 6627 Mandan Drive?
Yes.
What did you see when you got the box in your lab?
On one side of the box, there was some potential blood staining that visually looked like it could be blood. And I did do the chemical presumptive tests, which were positive for those stains on one side of the box, on the exterior side.
And did you forward those swabbings of those stains onto DNA for DNA analysis?
Yes, I did swab the stains and those did go on for DNA analysis.
And are they labeled in such a way that Donna Minogue would know where they came from once she got them?
Yes.
With regards to People's Exhibit 679, which I think you said you had up there,
Okay.
what is that and what did you do with it?
This is labeled as a white bed sheet with blue sharp print and hair and fabric received from laundry basket in closet of southeast basement bedroom. This particular sheet, I did look, do my visual exam. I did note.
Yes,
one
all of the evidence. She
stain
left
that did
all of
react
the
to
evidence
the
behind.
presumptive tests for blood. And I took a cutting of that suspected blood stain on the bed sheet.
Jamie, I'm going to leave it in your hands for a minute because I need to make another annoying phone
Your
call.
Honor, for the record, there is a stipulation to the
You got it.
admission of People's Exhibit 339, which is that chart that I had up by the jury earlier.
Defense, do you agree?
This is Yeah.
Okay. Exhibit 339 is admitted.
request to publish.
You may, go ahead.
Ms. Holmes, I'm going to show you Exhibit 339 first of all here. Did you help me prepare this particular exhibit?
I did.
And did Ms. Minogue also contribute in preparing this exhibit?
Yes, she did.
Could you just let the jury know what this exhibit is?
Yes, this is just a summary table of the different people's exhibit numbers with a description of the item, and we've gone through all of those today. And then for my purposes, it does have a column that lists what the serology results were as far as whether it was presumptive positive.
So for instance, where it says blue star in your column, would that be something you didn't test for blood because the blue star already illuminated there?
Correct.
And so did you contribute to the item and the serology aspect of this particular exhibit?
In preparing, yes, I confirmed with all of my reports that that is accurate. Correct.
And we'll be using this exhibit again with Ms. Minogue.
Right.
I don't have any further questions, Your Honor. Thanks.
Cross-examination, Mr. Cook.
I don't have anything. Thank you.
Do any of the jurors have any questions for Ms. Holes? All right, thank you, ma'am. You may step down.
Thank you.
Prosecution, call your next witness, please.
We'd call Donna Minogue.
Oh, boy.
Can I just clean up the area up here a little bit?
Yeah, I didn't know how much of that you were still going to use here. Or...
Did you want help? Or?
No, no.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Aren't they cute? Just being all quiet and cute.
Ms. Minogue, if you would step forward and raise your right hand, please, ma'am.
Say hi.
Do you swear to affirm the testimony about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead and have a seat in the witness stand. Please watch your step as you step into the stand.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing?
All right.
Could you please state your name, spell your last for the record, and introduce yourself to the jury?
My name's Donna Minogue, and my last name is spelled M-A-N-O-G-U-E. I'm currently a DNA analyst and serologist with the Colorado Springs Police Department Metro Crime Lab.
How long you been a DNA analysis? Analysis.
Little
Is
brat.
that how you say that?
Analysis.
You could just say analyst. Real quick, did we get her name?
Donna Minogue.
Minogue. M-A-N-O-G-O.
I don't know.
Minogo.
Yes. Analyst, actually.
Analyst.
That all wrong.
That was fast.
yeah.
Fast.
Thank you, Jennifer.
I've been a DNA analyst since about 1999. Prior to working here at the CSPD Crime Lab, I retired from the Albuquerque Police Department Crime Lab doing the same type of job.
And how long have you been in that particular field prior to that?
I've been in the field of forensics for a little over 35 years, but in terms of serology and DNA, I would say since 1986.
What kind of training and experience do you have in that field of forensic DNA analysis?
The training experience that I have, again, is about 24 years, about close to 30 years in serology and DNA analysis, both with the Metro Crime Lab here and with the Albuquerque Police Department. Prior to this, I have experience training. I have on-the-job training by a qualified analyst in both locations because each location requires you to train in their particular procedures. It took about 2 years to train at Albuquerque Police Department because that's where I started, and it was probably about 4 to 6 months to train and come up to speed on their procedures here.
And do you have continuous training going on now every year?
I do. We are required by our accreditation board and our quality assurance standards to have at least 8 hours of training in developments in DNA, and I generally accrue about 40 to 60 hours a year.
And tell the jury a little bit about your educational background.
I have a bachelor's degree in biomedical sciences I earned in 1981, and then I have a master's degree in the same field I earned in 1983. I also have continuing education beyond that, academic education, in terms of extra additional classwork that I took to help bolster my job qualifications in my prior years of employment and in my employment here.
And have you testified as an expert in the field of forensic DNA analysis in the past?
Yes, I have.
Approximately how many times?
I'm going to say approximately 30 times here in El Paso County. I've testified probably over 100 in Bernalillo County. That's New Mexico, the county I worked in. And I've testified once, actually just once in federal court in California.
At this time, we ask that the court allow Ms. Minogue to be
No
qualified as an
objection.
expert in the field of forensic DNA analysis and render opinions in that field.
Defense?
No objection, Your Honor.
The
No,
witness will be so qualified. Go ahead.
I missed the Your Honor part.
The jury's heard a little bit about forensic DNA analysis, but it was from an expert.
Always say it.
from Florida.
Okay.
So can we give them the Colorado version of what forensic DNA analysis is?
Should be pretty similar. When you do forensic DNA analysis, you're looking for a transfer of body fluids from either an item to a scene to an item, person to person. So we're looking for a transfer of DNA that is contained in the cells in the body.
You say cells from our body. What kind of fluids do we get our DNA from?
You can obtain DNA profiles from almost any body fluid. Saliva and blood and semen are the most common, but you can also obtain DNA profiles from things like sweat and urine.
Blood?
Yes, did I not say blood?
I don't know.
Blood, semen, and saliva. I thought that was my first.
It's been a long day for me. I
Mhm.
apologize. Yeah, well, my fault. No question about that. I want to talk about this case, the people of the state of Colorado versus Letecia Stauch involved in this investigation.
I was, yes, in terms of doing the DNA laboratory work.
I want to talk about known profiles first. What's a known profile?
A known profile is when you obtain a sample. It can be either a blood sample or it can be a saliva sample from an individual. So you're collecting it directly from them. So you know what their DNA profile is when you analyze it and obtain the profile.
Can you just let the jury know what a DNA profile is?
A DNA profile is a graphic representation of your genetic information at the locations that we examine in our laboratory.
And so how do we obtain these known profiles in a forensic setting in a criminal case, in a criminal investigation?
They're obtained, essentially an investigator will provide known samples and they will be submitted to evidence. And then if it's on a request that I receive, I will analyze that.
Have you received things such as buccal swabs?
Yes, I have.
And is that a common way to develop a known profile for an individual who's alive, for instance?
That is a very common type of sample, yes.
And did you receive buccal swabs in this case?
I did, yes.
We're going to talk about those later on, but I really want to talk about, at least start out talking about how you were able to develop a profile for Gannon Stauch, especially before his body was discovered. Could you tell the jury about that?
Yes,
Toothbrush
because we
and the
had
comb.
no body to source a profile from. I was provided with items that were common, thought to have been used by him. And one of the items that we obtained a profile from was from his toothbrush. And that was a male profile was developed from that.
And did you do anything to corroborate whether or not that profile actually belonged to Gannon Stauch?
Yes, we did. We did obtained standards from the biological mother and the biological father. And then we did a parentage statistic between the two parents and the profile we found from the toothbrush to determine if it was likely that those were the
I was
parents.
a little
or this
distracted.
was
Was
the
she
biological child of those two
Not allowed to say
individuals.
blood.
And were you able to determine that?
Yes.
And what was your determination?
The determination was that
Forgot to say.
that the profile from the toothbrush.
Oh, she
would
forgot
not,
to say blood?
be excluded as having originated from the biological mother's standard and the biological father's standard that I found. And the probability of finding another individual with that profile, if you will, is the probability of including him as a biological offspring of those two is 99.9999, 10 nines after the %
Okay, so that's a lot more direct than what we got on Anderson. This is the kind of
Yeah.
stuff you want to hear.
Definitely.
And yes, I'm really hoping the state is done or is close to being done. We should have maybe this, another witness, and then I want to get to the mental health expert and call it a day.
And what does that mean?
It's a high likelihood that these are the biological parents of the profile from the toothbrush.
Once Gannon Stauch's body was discovered, March 17th, 2020, were you able to corroborate that finding through other materials?
I was through bone samples.
What bone samples did you get and what did you do?
I was provided with bone samples that were transferred or transported to the El Paso County Coroner's Office, and they prepared some bone sample and bone marrow sample for me because I don't have the means to break down a bone. So they provided me samples, and I took a portion of those samples, and the profile from the bone sample matched the profile from the toothbrush.
And was that bone sample from a femur bone that was created, or at least the DNA sample was created for you to examine from a Dr. Leon Kelly?
Correct.
He's a pathologist here in Coral Springs.
Yes.
Did you also get information with regards to what a DNA forensic analyst was doing out in Florida with regards to a rib bone belonging to Gannon Stauch?
My understanding is that they were attempting to obtain a profile, and they were putting it into like a database to determine, or as under the category of unidentified human remains. I don't know what the outcome of that entire thing was.
Did they reach out to you to confirm whether or not they had a match with regards to this rib bone that they did DNA analysis on in Florida?
We did, yes.
And was there a match with regards to what profile they obtained in Florida?
Yes, with the toothbrush sample.
Okay. And so the last item I want to talk to you about was Gannon Stauch's fingernails. Were you able to do DNA analysis on his fingernails as well?
I did perform DNA on the fingernails in an attempt to get a DNA type that would verify that a known DNA sample from him. I was not able to obtain full profiles on those samples.
Were you able to obtain enough to know whether or not there was a connection between his fingernails and the toothbrush, for instance?
Yes, I was.
And tell the jury about that. What did you find?
Well, I found a low-level DNA profile, but there was enough information to calculate a statistic on to match them to each other.
Based on everything you just talked about, is the profile that you obtained from the toothbrush in the beginning the DNA profile for Gannon Stauch?
Yes.
And is that the profile you used in your analysis of particular unknown items, particularly from 6627, Mandan Drive, and other areas with regards to the profile from Gannon Stauch?
That is the profile that I used until I obtained the bone sample profile, which was more, the toothbrush sample is what we consider a secondary standard, not knowing who the individual is, and the bone sample just verified that. But yes, I did use the toothbrush sample for comparison.
Okay. Did you also obtain some buccal swabs from the defendant, Letecia Stauch here, and obtain a DNA profile from those buccal swabs?
Yes, I did.
And did you also use that in your analysis when you're comparing knowns to unknowns?
Correct.
At this time, I'd like to publish Exhibit 339 on the TV screen, just so everyone can see it as we're talking
From
about it.
prosecution over here.
We're going to put People's
Yeah,
Exhibit
actual blood,
339
not
up,
opinion
which is a
blood.
chart that's already in evidence. You may recognize it from the TV screens. Did you help contribute to making this chart?
Yes, I did.
And is this a good summary of the items that you tested with the results that you have on those particular items?
It is,
Oh, that's
yes.
so clear. We can read it.
I
from
know
the
we're
screen
giving
and
away the
everything.
answer early on this exhibit, but I think it's helpful for the jury to kind of follow us as we talk about particular things. The first item up there is Exhibit 386, which are swabs from the garage, placards A, B, and C. Do you recall that?
Yes.
When you get those items, what did you do and how did you do your DNA analysis on those particular items?
Well, the swabs were already prepared for me during the serology examination. So what I end up with for the DNA examination is essentially an envelope of tubes with a corresponding number to them, and then I match them back up when I write the report. So I just simply did DNA analysis on these swabs.
What did you find with regards to the swab from placard A?
The swab from placard A, the major profile matched Gannon Stauch with a estimated frequency of 1 in 3.4 octillion.
And when you say major profile, why do you describe it as a major profile?
Hear that?
Because in that particular sample, I had a mixture of more than one individual, and I was able to parse out a major contributor to that according to our standardized operating procedure.
Jamie, what did I miss?
No, she just said 1 in octillion.
Oh, yeah, actually using like those
Yeah.
numbers.
And I was like, whoa.
I was able to pull out a major profile, and that major profile matched again in Stauch.
And do you have any standards on how you determine whether or not a mixture you can determine a major profile? How many contributors need to be in there for you to do that analysis?
In order to pull out a major profile, I have to follow our standard operating procedure, which is written up. It's called a mixture interpretation policy. And essentially, the major contributor has to be 2.5 to 3 times higher than the other contributors in that mixture. So by following my standard operating procedure, I was able to pull out a major profile.
How many contributors were in this mixture with regards to?
There's a
I
skin
would have
cells
to check my report for that.
on the
Sure,
inside
that'll
of the
refresh
cheek.
your
That's what I'm
recollection.
supposed to-
Yes.
It's one of the most accurate ways to get DNA.
Yeah.
Without.
You hear that,
drawing your blood.
Gonzo?
Yeah.
Top of page.
From
yeah.
swab A, I had a mixture of 2 contributors, one of which was male. That major profile, the major male profile matched Gannon Stauch.
And we know this is at least presumptively blood. Is blood a very enriched item that has DNA in it?
It's a very rich source of DNA, yes.
Is it common, for instance, when you're swabbing a garage floor or for the instance, this podium, you might find several different profiles on there?
You could, yes.
Is the fact that it may be blood, would that contribute to Gannon being the major profile in this 2-person mixture?
I can't say that the DNA, I can only tell you that because it was presumptively positive for blood, we know there's a good indication that there's blood in here, but I can only tell you that the major profile is attributable to Gannon Stauch.
Okay. What about placard B?
Placard B, that was also a mixture of 2 contributors, one of which was male, and the major male profile matched Gannon Stauch at, again, estimated frequency of 1 in 3.4 octillion.
And so when the jury has this chart back in deliberations, People's Exhibit 339, where it says major profile matches Gannon, is that always going to be a mixture?
Not necessarily. A major, yes. When you hear the term major, that means that the DNA profile was a mixture, but that a major was able to be parsed out of that.
Whereas we get to placard C where it says matches Gannon. Tell us about placard C.
Placard C was a single source male profile, and that profile matched Gannon Stauch with an estimated frequency of 1 in 3.4 octillion.
And so when there's a single source profile with People's Exhibit 339 indicate that item matches Gannon.
Correct.
Just so we're clear. So mixtures, you'll see the word major profile.
Yes,
Source, you'll just see match.
correct.
Okay. You've thrown out the probability. You said 1 in 3.4 octillion. Is that what you said?
Correct. And there's also another area on the Y chromosome that's present if a male is present.
I don't
And the
think
next
it's really
item on
confused. I think it's fairly
339
clear.
is People's Exhibit 516, which is a swab of the electrical socket in Gannon's room. What did you find with regards to that?
That was a single source male profile that matched Gannon Stauch with an estimated frequency of 1 in 3.4 octillion.
Okay, so 1 out of 3.4 octillion people, so more people than exist in the world, have the same DNA that was found on that light switch, except for Gannon. I don't know. I feel like it's clear enough. As long as it's maybe it needs to be reinforced a little bit more simply after her testimony. We'll see.
And then People's Exhibit 504 is carpet 2 from Gannon's room. What did you find with regards to that?
That was a single source
said
male
she had to make
profile
some
that
phone
matched
calls.
Gannon Stauch with an estimated frequency of 1 in 3.4 octillion.
Is that as high as you can go as far as the frequency?
No,
You can go higher than that. Huh?
yes.
How high can you go?
It depends on what the alleles are because it's based on the frequency of occurrence. Well,
Now I'll show you the board.
yes,
Does it show here where you did your serological examination?
yes.
Did I say that right?
Serological.
I'm doing the best I can.
That's your
All right, permission to publish to the jury.
You may go ahead.
And if you wouldn't mind stepping out and just showing the jury where you took your swabs or what you did with regards to this board.
The first thing I did is I noted possible blood staining. We call it red-brown staining until we identify it as presumptively positive for blood. So I've got an area marked here that is dark red-brown staining. I've also got a lot of little dots
I just put my
located that I did not
Anderson
test
trial
these
in the
dots
chat.
because they're too small and I was afraid I was going to consume them. Thought is if we're going to process them for DNA, we need to take them straight to DNA without any processing. So this one here was positive for the presumptive presence of blood. And then at a later time, I swabbed these two areas because they fluoresced with using an alternate light source. So I took a swab from here, a swab from here, a swab from here, and then I swabbed the edges of the board, wondering if anybody had handled the board. So I took 4 samples total.
While we're up here, with regards to 339, we see
Bazillion.
332 on the board. You said it's presumptive positive for blood. What swab are we talking about that actually matches Gannon?
That is this large stain here.
Did you find anything with regards to your other swabs?
I did. I have a feeling I have to go review my report.
That's fine. We can put this down and have you do that.
From the
And
swabs
hold
from
the
the
Nicholas.
edges
Like and
of the
subscribe to
board
Nicholas's
that I
channel.
was looking
It's also
for if
in the
somebody had
description.
handled it. It was a mixture of, it's a partial profile, which means I don't have all the information on the DNA profile. And it's a mixture of at least 2 contributors, at least one of which was male. And the profile was not suitable for comparison because it was too low level.
And why is it that you did the serology on this particular board and the DNA analysis?
It was the weekend and I was the only one available.
Was there some urgency with this particular exhibit?
Yes,
Okay. And you did it quickly and to get it back to the sheriff's office?
yes.
The next item we see on 339 is People's Exhibit 378, Nike shoes from washer. Do you see that?
Yes,
Now, you didn't actually get the shoes, but did you get swabs that were related to that shoe?
I did. I got swabs that Sherry Holes, the serologist, collected. She did the presumptive testing and collected, and I did the DNA analysis.
Let's talk about the swabs of the outsole of the right Nike shoe. What did you find there?
The swabs from the outsole of the right Nike shoe matched, it was a single source male profile that matched Gannon Stauch with an estimated frequency of 1 in 3.4 octillion.
What happens to DNA when you place items in a washing machine and wash them?
It depends on the nature of the stain. It depends on a lot of things. It also depends on how heavy the deposit is. Some of the DNA can be washed off. Sometimes all the DNA can be washed off.
It just depends on what happens, right? And with these particular shoes, did you see anything that may have diluted the DNA profile, or can you even?
Damn it, I'm muted again. All right, one of the medical examiners testified that there was so much decomposition that it was difficult to get a full DNA profile, and they tried with skin and blood and all kinds of stuff, and they eventually had to go to the bone marrow in a rib in order to get a DNA profile. So that's why. That's where they were able to get it from. Right?
I didn't see the shoes, so I don't know.
Did you give a statistical analysis with regards to the swabs of the outsole of the right Nike shoe?
Yes, that was an estimated frequency of 1 in 3.4 octillion.
Let's go to swabs of the bottom sole of right Nike shoe. What did you see there?
That was a single source male profile that matched Gannon Stauch with an estimated frequency of 1 in 3.4 octillion.
The next item says swabs of inside sole of Nike shoe. What did you find with regards to that particular swab?
That was a mixture again, and I was able to parse out a major profile, and the major profile matched Letecia Stauch with an estimated, or at least
There
it
we
matched
go.
at
We got
the
her DNA
interpretable
too.
loci with an estimated frequency of 1 in 28 billion.
And do you understand why Sherry Holes would swab the inside of the sole of the Nike shoes?
Yes,
What was that for?
for potential wearer,
And do you know how many contributors there were to this particular mixture?
I can check.
Yeah, and they are lucky they found the body because they only clean those bridges
From the
like once every
interior?
2 years. They just happen to be cleaning it.
Is this the left shoe? Yeah, the left shoe. It was a mixture of 2 contributors, one of which was male.
We can scroll down now, please, on 339.
I'm looking for the
More, please, up.
link to the sweatshirts that I can't
So
remember.
now we're on the
who asked about.
swabs of the inside sole of the right Nike shoe. What did you find there?
The swabs from the inside sole of the right Nike shoe is a mixture of 2 contributors, one of which was male. The major profile matched Letecia Stauch at the interpretable loci with an estimated frequency of 1 in 730 septillion.
Do you know what kind of body fluids or what kind of cells we're looking at with regards to these 2 swabs of the inside of the Nike shoe?
You're looking mostly for skin cells that have kind of rubbed off or fallen off over the course of time.
Would sweat be a good contributor to that?
Well, sweat can contain skin cells in it, but sweat is actually a liquid. And if there are cells in the liquid, then you're obtaining a DNA profile from the actual cells, not from the liquid.
Yes, she dumped the body in a suitcase under a bridge that they just happened to be cleaning. They clean those bridges once every 2 years, and they just happened to find it. They finished cleaning, and then they went back to figure out what it was, and that's when they found him.
The next item we see on People's Exhibit 339 is People's Exhibit 459, which is swabs from base of box and garage south of boards. What did you find with regards to that?
That was a partial single source profile that matched Gannon Stauch at the interpretable loci with an estimated frequency of 1 in 87 quadrillion.
And what does partial single source profile mean?
Partial means that I'm only seeing evidence of one person in this particular DNA sample, but I'm not able to, the technology is not able to detect some of the locations because it's just a low level of DNA. I don't have enough DNA.
And so for the jury's and my benefit question, you've got the profile from the toothbrush, Gannon's profile.
Yes.
You've got a profile from the swabs of this box in the garage.
Yes.
One profile has all the, are they called alleles?
Loci.
Loci.
Alleles, so loci would be better. It's like the locations on the DNA.
The unknown may not have all the same locations, but enough for you to call it a match.
Correct.
Is that fair?
Yes.
All right. Have a good evening,
We can
Chandler.
now go to 518, which is swabs base of stairs and garage under cord. Do you see that?
Yes.
Did you test that for DNA analysis?
I did, and I obtained a profile that was a mixture of 2 contributors, at least one of which was male. The major profile matched Gannon Stauch at the interpretable loci with an estimated frequency of 1 in 3.8 quintillion.
Quintillion now.
We're just going to go down the list. People's Exhibit 190, or 278. Do you see that?
Yes.
Swabs from Gannon's bed, which was presumptively positive for blood. What did you find there?
Where do you live that they're finding multiple bodies per day in your
Swab
home?
from Gannon's bed was a partial profile, a single source male that matched Gannon's Stauch with an estimated frequency of 1 in 450 sextillion.
Exhibit 192, a blue and white scrub brush head bristles.
The blue and white scrub brush was a mixture of at least two contributors, at least one of which was male. The major profile matched Gannon's Stauch at the interpretable loci with a statistic or an estimated frequency of 1 in 120 septillion.
People's Exhibit 193, quickie scrub brush backside.
That was a mixture of two contributors, at least one of which was male. The major profile matched Gannon's Stauch at the interpretable loci with an estimated frequency of 1 in 2.3 trillion.
So that makes a lot of
And we have
sense. if you look at it.
191, a red and white Brillo scrub brush top flat surface. What did you find with regards to that?
That I obtained only a partial DNA profile that was not suitable for comparison, but there was one male. It's a profile of at least one male.
Telling me there's a chance.
Telling me there's a chance.
Was that a mixture or was it a single source?
My conclusion was at least one male, so we're thinking it could possibly be two, but thinking it's one.
And could that be impacted with regards to that particular item if it had been washed in a dishwasher? Would that impact the DNA that may be on it?
Yes.
Is that obvious why that might happen?
Well, a dishwasher obviously washes dishes like a washing machine, but contained in the soap and that whatever additives you put in the dishwasher, there's bleach in that soap, and that can break down the DNA.
The next item we see on 393 is People's Exhibit 361, peak suitcase from South Carolina, mesh lining inside. What did you find there?
That was a single source male profile that matched Gannon's Stauch with an estimated frequency of 1 in 3.4 octillion.
How about 365, the blanket from the suitcase that was found inside?
That was a single source male profile that matched Gannon's Stauch with an estimated frequency of 1 in 3.4 octillion.
The next item we have on there, it says teal couch pillow from basement. And just so we're clear, if we skip one item down where it says Blue Star swabs from pillow on north couch in basement, do you know if that's the same item? Or
I believe it's the same item. One was collected at the scene by the crime scene investigator, and the other was collected by Sherry Holes.
what did you find with regards to, let's just cover all three items, 417 at once, which are swabs from the Blue Star. What did you find with regards to those swabs?
One of them was from a basement area rug, and I found a mixture of two contributors, at least one of which was male. The major male profile matched Gannon's Stauch with an estimated frequency of 1 in 3.4 octillion. The minor was attributable to an unknown individual, and I gave it a number 1.
Was
Why did you get a
unknown
number 1?
individual?
Because when you find an unknown profile that you don't have a standard to compare it to, you just start counting. So this was the first one.
And is that common to see unknown profiles when you're talking about mixtures?
Yes,
If you don't have a known profile, you have nothing to compare.
yes.
For instance, in this particular case, did you ever get a known profile from Lena Stauch, the 8-year-old girl that lived there?
No, I did not.
Common for people who live in the house to leave their DNA series.
Yes.
So let's go down to the next item, which is Blue Star swabs from pillow on north couch and basement. What did you find?
I believe this was one collected by the CSI because of the Blue Star identifying information. That was that DNA profile was a mixture of 3 contributors, 3 male contributors actually. The major profile matched Gannon's Stauch at the interpretable loci with an estimated frequency of 1 in 100 septillion, and the minor was not suitable for comparison.
And the cutout carpet with burn marks?
That DNA profile was a mixture of 2 contributors, at least one of which was male. The major profile matched Gannon Stauch with an estimated frequency of 1 in 3.4 octillion.
The next item we see there is People's Exhibit 423, and we have 4 items there. Plastic tub from storage room, outside lip swab. And I don't want to read them all, but what did you find with regards to this plastic tub, People's Exhibit 523, swabbing that was submitted to you for DNA?
There were 4 separate swabs. First was the swabs with a stain on the outside lip of the lid, the short end of the tub with a label from the basement. That was a single source male profile that matched Gannon Stauch with an estimated frequency of 1 in 3.4 octillion. I have a second one, swabs of the stain on the outside corner of the lid from the short end of the tub with a label from the basement. That was a single source male profile that matched Gannon Stauch with an estimated frequency of 1 in 3.4 octillion. Then I have a swab of a stain on the outside lip edge and into the side of the container on the short end of the tub in the basement. That was a single source male profile that matched Gannon Stauch with an estimated frequency of 1 in 3.4 octillion. And then lastly, I have a stain on the inside corner of the lid on the short end of the tub with the label from the basement. That was a single source male profile that matched Gannon Stauch with an estimated frequency of 1 in 3.4
got the order of numbers for you,
octillion.
Dave.
People's Exhibit 519 looks like it's 2 more Blue Star swabs that we see on People's Exhibit 339.
Yes.
One is Blue Star swabs from storage room 4. What did you find with that one?
That was a DNA profile was a mixture of 2 contributors, at least one of which was male. The major male profile matched Gannon Stauch with an estimated frequency of 1 in 3.4 octillion.
And now with regards to the Blue Star items that we see on 339, do you know what substance that is that you're testing for DNA?
It's just an area that reacted to the Blue Star reagent that they use out on the field. The Blue Star is a presumptive test for blood.
But you're just testing whatever they swab, right?
Correct.
You're basing the Blue Star on what they label that swab activity?
Correct. It was described as Blue Star positive, so we maintain that throughout the report.
The Blue Star swabs from basis stairs and basement. What did you find?
That
way
was a
too many
mixture of
numbers.
2 contributors, at least one of which was male. The major male profile matches Gannon Stauch at the interpretable loci with an estimated frequency of 1 in 170 septillion.
We can go ahead and scroll all the way down to the bottom. We
pinch
should
his
get the rest
DNA.
of them in. And then we have People's Exhibit 194, swab from exterior and opposite of handle inner to bottom. What did you find?
That was a mixture of 2 contributors, one of which was male. The major profile matched Gannon Stauch with an estimated frequency of 1 in 52 septillion, and the minor was attributable to unknown individual number 1.
Same comment as we talked about before.
Correct.
You didn't have a known profile to match to.
Right.
She looks kind of like her, but this is a different expert.
435 swabs from exterior of Amazon box from storage room, 3 stains. What did you find?
For all 3 stains, they were all single source male profiles that matched Gannon Stauch with an estimated frequency of 1 in 3.4 octillion.
So you did a test on all 3 of these different DNA samples?
Correct. And the DNA profile and the statistic is the same for all 3.
Now, you've tested a lot more items than what we just displayed in People's Exhibit 339. Is that correct?
Correct.
Are these the items that you were able to identify Gannon Stauch to or the defendant to with regards to your DNA testing?
Yes.
Well, that kind of answers.
Are there other items that
You're only
you
focusing on the
were
2.
not able to obtain a profile to or were not able to come to a conclusion with that were not presented to this jury?
Yes, there were.
Those are my questions, Jar. Thanks.
All right.
Councilor First for a moment.
Oh, okay. All right. So let's. Okay. Wait. Let me try it this way. That's too small. I'm gonna have to do it as a PDF, and we're gonna have to do it after the trial stream is done. So, but I have the numbers. Okay. So 1 times 10 to the 6th power is 1 million.
God.
All right. So a sextillion is 1 to the 10th to the 21st power. So it's like 4 times as big. Well, not quite. three times as many. And then an octillion is 1 to the 10th, or 1 times 10
Mr.
to
Cook.
the
Thank you.
27th power. I'll pull that up. Do we have actual cross?
I think so.
Could you leave that up just for whoever the controller is over there?
No, there was mixtures, and they were able to identify
hi,
like
how are
pairs
you?
with a male profile.
My name is Will Cook. I
They're not
represent
able to
Ms.
identify.
Stauch in this case. I've just got some follow-up questions for you, ma'am. Not a
Every
lot.
time he starts,
Um,
I'm Will Cook, just so you know.
If you could look at 194 on the chart, and for the DNA part, it says major profile matches Gannon. Do you see that? Or,
Yes,
or you can turn around.
Yes.
So Mr. Young discussed this with you. So there's more than one DNA sample floating around in this sample.
There's evidence of 2 individuals in this mixture.
Okay. You fully developed the other sample or the other DNA contributor or the other profile, I guess the minor profile?
When a sample is in a test tube and I develop a profile, and I obtain the graph, this is what I get. There's no more developing portions of a profile. I develop a profile, and this one happened to be a mixture, and I have an unknown individual identified as the minor contributor.
Okay. So you can't, you're not looking at this number 194 and going, well, the major profile matches Gannon and the minor one is Letecia Stauch or father or mother or anything like that.
They are compared to all of the standards that I have in the case, and I was not able to say that it matched any of the standards that I had in the case, which is why the minor was identified as unknown individual number 1.
Okay. So the matches on this whole chart we just went over, the couple matches with Letecia Stauch involve the Nike running shoe.
Yes.
Correct. Okay. Now, some of these tests or the samples were collected very on in the investigation, the winter, spring of 2020, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And some of them, like the last one up here, Exhibit 435, the Amazon box, there was no request made for the DNA testing on that until maybe 2 years after this homicide, correct?
I don't know when the request, I do actually have the request here. I can tell you when the request was put in on March 28th, 2022.
Okay. I have a request date for January 27th, 2022, with a report date of March 17th to 22.
Oh, my error. I'm sorry.
Okay.
You're correct. It's January 27th, 2022. I was reading the due date.
Okay. So there's a 2-year difference in between the early samples that were taken to the final ones that were taken and ultimately DNA tested, correct?
I don't know when the boxes were submitted originally to evidence
Okay.
or the items on this particular report. They may have been in evidence the whole time, and we were just asked to go back and examine these as well. I can't answer that.
Okay. I think
Yeah, that's the problem with
is
that decimal
probably
point,
it.
isn't it, Dennis?
Just a second.
Oh, I'm getting a message.
As one of your, who were the standards you were using? You had Letecia Stauch,
Yes.
Gannon,
Yes.
Gannon's father,
Yes.
Gannon's mother,
Correct.
Gannon's sister, Lena.
No, I did not have that standard.
You didn't have Lena?
No.
Okay. Did you have a Harley Hunt?
No.
Who, do you know who Harley Hunt was?
No.
You didn't know that was Leticia's daughter that was living in the house?
No.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
Redirect.
No, thank you.
Do any of the jurors have any questions for Ms. Minogue?
Come on.
Doesn't look like it.
No.
All right. Ladies
We're
and
like, no, we're done
gentlemen.
with this one.
Oh, Ms. Minogue, you can go ahead and step
Okay,
down. I'm
thank
sorry,
you.
ma'am.
That's right.
I'm finished with this guy.
Now I get it.
No, yeah, now you get it. You didn't.
I do,
Right,
and I
you
love
just
when-
recently watched My Cousin
Yeah,
Vinny.
I would love everyone to do that. I'm finished with this guy.
I think.
All
we
right,
covered
ladies and
it.
gentlemen, we are again in the same position that we were earlier today,
Yeah,
and
we
that
covered
is
it.
that we do not have any other witnesses to fill the day. We anticipate, however, that the witnesses will be here tomorrow. They are traveling. So if I can have everyone back in the morning at the same place, same time, we should be able to start on time at 9 o'clock.
Wow.
Again, don't discuss the case among yourselves. Don't discuss the case with anyone else. Don't do your own independent research about any aspect of this case. Don't go looking up what septillion and quadrillion and all of that stuff means. I know everybody wants to get home and do that. You simply can't. So we'll see everybody tomorrow at the regular time. All rise
We're
for the
gonna
jury,
do that.
please.
We're going to look up. I'm going to leave the stream up for a minute because I want to see if the court has any information about how long this trial might be going on. If they're going to try to organize witnesses and stuff. Once the jury leaves, he might have some questions for them. So we'll wait a moment. Let's see. We had takeaway before minus became popular.
Takeaway. Oh, okay.
Thank you. You may all be seated. Record should reflect the jury has left the courtroom. Since we have this time, I want to talk a little bit about potential Wednesday morning issues. Are your people flying in today, tomorrow, or what?
Hey, Judge.
Okay.
Yep.
So that part, the weather should not impact their travel here. Wednesday morning, if we have a 2-hour
They're supposed to
delay,
be
my
getting
thought would
storms. They
be that
mentioned
we
that a lot.
start at 10:30.
Yeah, saying it.
That will give us time to get the jury back at 10 o'clock. And then give us time to get in place by 10:30. I spoke with Court and Transport over the lunch hour to see what impact it is on their operations, and they said it doesn't matter. They just bring everybody over at the same time. They just hold them until everybody
This
gets
is the
here.
court feed. It's not long.
So who are we anticipating potentially on Wednesday?
On Wednesday, good question. Yeah, I think it's just Dr. Torres, Judge, but let me make sure.
And is
Dr.
she coming
Torres
up from
is the
Pueblo?
state's
I
medical
think she
expert.
actually lives here.
Okay. I think storm track is supposed to be more north, so I think coming up from Pueblo is not as much of an issue, but we'll deal with it if we need to, I suppose.
Yeah, but, so we actually have 2 witnesses slated for potentially on Wednesday, depending, of course, on how everybody
Okay.
goes for timing wise. Both of them are local, so we should have no trouble with that.
Okay, all right. So we'll just keep an eye on the weather then and see where we are come Wednesday morning and hope for the best. And I also don't know what the impact will be on potential jurors here either. So we'll just have to deal with that.
Yes,
So,
Judge
okay.
Barry White.
Anything else from the prosecution?
Not that I can think of, Judge.
Defense?
Well, I think Mr. Young.
Oh,
has something,
Mr. Young.
actually.
You did get the packet that we sent you of jury instructions? Because I know I sent them to defense as well, just.
Or like when?
It was
I-
when the trial started.
Yes, I do. I thought if you meant in the last day or so, the answer would be no. But I do have the jury instructions that you sent, was about a few days before we started, I think it was, or the week before, something like that. Okay. All right. Okay. Defense have anything else?
No, you're.
Okay. All right. We'll see everybody tomorrow morning. Thank you.
Yes, the judge voice apparently is a good thing about this trial. Wait, where did I go? There we go. All right, we are done for the day with trial anyways. I am going to share with you all my math, just because. Okay. So this is what I was trying to say. 1 million is 1 times 10 to the 6th power. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit for you older folks with the, not so seeing well. And then 1 sextillion is 1 times 10 to the 21st, and an octillion is 1 times 10 to the 27th. A septillion. Anyways, for whatever it's worth, that's kind of the order. It makes more sense when I see them sort of in order. 10 to the 51st power. A sexadeciline. Sexadeciline. There you go. Sexadeciline. All right. So now we've all seen it. Jamie, where'd you go? Oh, there you are. Hello.
Hi.
Okay. Thoughts, takeaways, emotional reactions?
No, not much.
Yeah, they ran out of witnesses. That's kind of frustrating. One of the biggest issues with this case is that they're going so fast through witnesses. I thought that was going to be a good thing, but now we're just having shorter streams. So that doesn't really help us with getting through everything sooner rather than later.
Well, did they think these people were going to last longer? I mean,
Oh, I was like, what's the sound? They jumped us into another trial. Yeah, I think they thought that the defense was going to have some sort of cross-examination. I would anticipate that, but apparently not.
Mm.
So, yeah, so we are done for today. Tuesday, tomorrow, I'm not sure what witnesses they have for tomorrow, except they have some coming in from out of town. But Wednesday, it sounds like is going to be the big day for the state's mental health professional witness. So that's going to be a fun day. And I just want to make sure I'm going to be here. Today, court got canceled, so that was awesome. I have a 2:00 motion on Wednesday. Of course, I do on Wednesday, but it's via Zoom. So I might just leave the stream going if we're not done by then and pop out and do my Zoom thing and then come back. So we should be okay. Vagillion. Is Vagillion one of them? Did they pop up? I think it is. Okay, Vagillion. All right, there we are.
just was kind of like a whatever day. A lot of foundational people and
Do you have a YouTube channel? You have anything on it?
no.
So what? All right. So now that you're going to start a YouTube channel, what are you going to talk about?
Well, I told you I wanted to do trial stuff, but man, that's too much work.
You need to get a little Cash App thing going, and then everyone can tip you for your services.
For what? Just hanging out with you?
Apparently, yeah.
Well, I do have Cash App and Venmo because it's mainly what I use. I love that stuff. I don't know how you haven't had one to like pay people back and stuff.
Well, I have Venmo. I just didn't want to. I don't have an MLS Venmo. I have like my private Venmo.
Oh yeah.
So,
I have a.
one more time, please like and subscribe. Please give the channel a thumbs up. Share it with your friends. All that good stuff. Check out my Rumble. I'm trying to get some people over there as well. Not that I'm doing anything right now, but I want to grow it so that when Rumble is a little bit better of a channel, we can sort of do some stuff over there. Not better of a channel, better of a platform. It's a little quirky right now. Oh, Jamie, you could do 90210.
My shirt. Yeah, I mean, 90210.
Yeah, you could do a little podcast about 90210.
I do love 90210.
There you go.
I'm an 80s baby, so.
Are we doing bedtime stories? I saw that. You guys are going to read bedtime stories.
And we have to run a GoFundMe for our friend Will Cook. Make sure
Yes, because he's gonna need it after this. I don't know how much work he's gonna get. He's just so blah in court. Even if you just had some energy to him, and you lose, fine. People lose all the time. Any attorney that says they always win is lying to you, by the way. So, yes, I'm going to have another trial when this is over. I'm not sure yet. I know we have Sarah Boone in July 25th. I believe that starts. Nicholas and I are going to be streaming Jodi Arias because I want to see sort of that craziness. So we're going to do a restream of Jodi Arias starting right after this. And we're going to work out a schedule. So it's like a fixed day and it's only for so long. It's not going to be all day, the entire day, every day of the week. But we're going to figure out a schedule for that. And yeah, doing some other things. Also, once I get monetized, we're going to do a little a private Facebook party, of course, but then we're also going to do a another stream where I'm going to have some guests on. We're going to talk about a variety of things. So I will have some other stuff coming out. This is probably going to be like on a Saturday or something, just sort of a Saturday afternoon hang, probably with Nicholas and Jamie, and we'll see who else. They play the phone sex. Who plays the phone sex? Jody. They play the phone sex. Who plays the phone sex?
Probably the Jody trial.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, there was a lot, wasn't there? Was that recorded? Did she record it?
I think they did it. They had a lot of recordings of them because they were long distance, I believe, for part of a lot of their relationship.
I know the story. I've watched some documentaries on it. I watched the Lifetime movie on it, which the only reason I watched it is because I'm a fan of Malcolm in the Middle, and one of his girlfriends played Jodi Arias, and I was like, oh, really? That seems weird, but she pulled it off. So that's the only reason I watched it. So but I haven't watched the trial. All I know is she was like weird with cameras, and she had a camera around her neck, and while she was stabbing her boyfriend to death, the thing was taking pictures and basically took photographs of herself murdering her boyfriend. So she's kind of as smart as this defendant, as Letecia Stauch.
Yeah.
So it was cringe. It was very cringe. But the girlfriend from Malcolm in the Middle, I wanted to see, like, oh, she's an adult now. I forgot how old that show was, and she played Jodi Arias, so I watched it.
Oh, you played Jodi Arias in a Lifetime movie?
Yeah. There was a Lifetime movie made about Jodi Arias, and it's a Lifetime movie. I mean, it's not going to be good. I knew that going into it.
Yeah.
So pleasure noise tapes. Pleasure noise tapes. God, that's so gross. Gannon heard pleasure noises.
Ew.
This woman has made several accusations of SA, and I don't think she's actually been SA'd, because if she was, she wouldn't describe the sounds of such an activity as pleasure noises.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm guessing. I have no idea. But
I don't get it. Like, I don't like the way she talks about those things. There is no way.
Malcolm in the Middle is awesome. What year was I born? I'm going to have you all guess.
1980.
I'm going to wait for some answers to fill in. Maybe that'll be a thing. I'm going to put that out there.
I'll be the big 4-0 this year. Woo.
You?
Yeah.
All right.
It's kind of crazy.
All right. We got 73. We got 88. You said 80. 70. Yes. And support Zachariah Anderson. He's pinned on my Twitter. I didn't pin him on this stream. 75. 82. Well, you'd be 83, right? Because you're turning 40. 79, 76, 81, 79. You guys are dancing all around it. Actually, Jamie got it right. 1980.
Really?
Yeah. I thought maybe you knew because you just jumped right out with it.
No, I just was guessing what I thought.
1920. If only. What are we guessing? They were guessing what year I was born. And Jamie got it right out of the gate, and then everyone else was dancing around it.
I had no idea. But
All
80s.
right. 43.
Did you just turn, or what month is your birthday?
February.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but I like 80 because whatever year it is, that's my, in 23, I'm 43. In 24, I'm 44. I like it. So 79 here.
Everybody's
you were born in 43? You're old. Yes, I know. So my wife's a little older and she likes the gray because it makes us look similar ages.
You have it. Your wife's a little bit older.
Yes. Well, what's that?
Where'd you meet your wife, since she's Swedish? Did she live here?
She lived here, yes.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's an interesting story, actually. That's sort of manifest destiny on behalf of my ex-wife. You kids, born in the 70s.
I'm like couldn't be more 80s. I just love 80s style. I wish it was, I just love 80s everything. So
The Cougar Hunter. That's right. You know it.
Cougar Hunter.
All right. If you guys really want to know, I'll tell you the story. Okay. So my wife was the membership director at a club that I joined. And while I was a member there, my wife filed for divorce. My now ex-wife filed for divorce. And she was spreading rumors that her and I were having an affair, which we weren't. The only time I talked to my now wife about anything was to say, hey, just so you know, there's rumors going around about us. And just so, you know, you can maybe tell your bosses. And so then we started talking after that. So it was kind of like manifested.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Aw. Well, worked out.
Getting a whole link tree and such. Oh, yeah, I know there were some link issues, but that's okay. All right. Well, oh, wait, hang on. Nicholas, there's a question for Nicholas. They want to know your birth year if you're comfortable answering it. Ginny B. Jones does, anyways. If he's got to answer. I don't know. He might have just popped on and popped off. But he'll be on a stream, I'm sure, or you can catch one of his streams. He'll be streaming Sunday, and you guys can figure it out. I am going to try to see if I can do something. I am going to see if I can redirect you guys to another channel. And if you don't want to listen to it, then fine. But I want to see if I can do it. So you guys just can bear with me. Let's see here. No, nothing is going right now. I don't know what this is. Legal Roundup, Runkle of the Bailey. No, that's upcoming. Everything's upcoming. There's nothing live right now. So,
Gonna try your new skill out.
I was excited to send it. Actually, I thought Nicholas was streaming today at like 4, and I thought, oh, okay, cool. I'll send everybody over to him. But he's not. I guess it's Sunday. That's why I was confused earlier. Not born in the 70s. Not born in the 70s. All right, fair enough.
Dave.
Somebody asked me about my ex. I'm not talking about that.
What?
I saw something in the chat.
Oh, I was like, come on.
All right.
So, how long do you think they're gonna have left? I'm just curious. What you
The
think.
trial?
Yeah.
It's done. It's done.
I
We're just
want
bullshit.
these
Oh,
docs.
you mean for like
Yeah.
days and weeks?
Yeah.
I want the state to absolutely be done this week. This would be week 4, and then there's like 5 witnesses on the defense end, and then we should be done, and that'll take us 6 weeks total, rather than the 8 weeks. I feel like that's good, and so I'm really hoping that happens.
Yeah.
So, but with that, I will leave you all until tomorrow. We have 10:45 a.m. tomorrow. We will be going live again. And we'll see you all there. Bye.